Okay. Welcome. I'd like to call to order November 17, 2025 City Council meeting at 7 p.m. If you all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, roll call. We are all here. First time in a long time that we've had all 7 of us in the building at the same time. Appreciate that. We're looking at the agenda now, looking for motions to approve tonight's agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda with the addition of one item under new business. That would be a discussion of the purchase of a camera truck, which will be introduced by Dave Sukow. And I would propose that become the new number 2, and everything is reordered after that.
Motion to add as number 2, camera truck purchase. Any seconds?
Second.
Second by Councilor Santiago. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor state by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Tonight now we're at public comment. This is placed on the agenda where public invited to speak to council regarding any matter not on the agenda and not scheduled for a public hearing. Members of the public addressing council are requested to give their name and city of residence. Please try not to repeat questions to allow for more speakers. Speakers will limit their testimony to 5 minutes, and we're limited to 30 minutes total for public comment. I think we have 2 so far. Alicia Higas, if you'd like to go first.
Good evening. My name is Alicia Higas, and I'm a resident of Scappoose. I am here again as a concerned resident because there is a clear pattern of deflection, misrepresentation, and refusal to accept accountability by city leadership. For months, I have brought forward documented concerns. Instead of addressing misconduct, several of you nitpicked minor details and imply that I am lying. These are not misunderstandings. They are retaliatory tactics intended to undermine my credibility. Let me begin by reminding you, I have evidence supporting every claim I have made. These statements are not characterizations, they are verifiable facts. For the council's convenience and transparency, I am attaching the child abuse hotline report referenced in this statement. Because the council repeatedly overlooks this evidence, I am addressing your misleading statements and then revisiting information the city already received. Mayor Backus tried to discredit me by saying he texted rather than called Chief Llewellyn. During the January 6th meeting, Llewellyn responded with, "No, don't break into cars." And together they gave the public the impression that Chief Llewellyn assisted him. The ethical violation occurred the moment the mayor reached out to Llewellyn for personal assistance. If LOC ethics training were taken seriously, he would know this is inappropriate. Council President Miller stated that Officer Barnes didn't transfer when lateral transfer is the correct and widely used policing term. He also claimed outside agencies reviewed my concerns. None have contacted me. He referenced multiple meeting requests, omitting that I have no obligation to meet with someone who has already falsified or omitted information. Accusing me of misrepresentations while ignoring the city's own documented inaccuracies is not accountability, it is retaliation. Councillor Haugen suggested that public commenters should pledge not to lie, a statement clearly directed at me. His comments was not made to seek accountability, but to undermine my credibility despite knowing the evidence. City Manager Berginger claimed my comments contained inaccuracies. That statement itself was misleading. The only correction I made involved call versus text. His characterization was an exaggeration meant to discredit me. Despite submitting multiple complaints to the city manager, HR, and the city council, none have been meaningfully acknowledged or addressed. I am now revisiting the evidence, specifically the attached child abuse hotline report submitted by Chief Llewellyn on January 25th. This report contains several false or misleading statements that contradict the information I directly provided. It is not known why the teacher would do this. False. I told him exactly why and provided recordings documenting her behavior. It is not clear how she may have started a wave of bullying. False. The recordings clearly show how she contributed. Conrad did sketch a gun at school last year. Completely false. This was a rumor with no evidence. SPD had no basis to present it as fact. It is not known if he has access to weapons at home. False and misleading. Removed from school, unknown why. False. He was CC'd on emails documenting the false gun threat rumors and lack of due process. He currently attends online. False. I told SPD repeatedly that both children were transferred to Hillsborough School District. Conrad never attended online school. Improper redactions. SPD, not me, redacted the DHS screener's name, title, and signature, obstructing accountability. These inaccuracies created a misleading, retaliatory narrative that does not reflect reality or the information SPD had. SPD has refused to release body camera footage from the September 2024 school threat incidents. I was told that to obtain the footage, I would need a court order. If SPD were following policy, a court order would not be necessary. Officer Barnes also entered my business under false pretenses with his camera off, only activating it after I said I was recording. A transparent department does not behave this way. SPD has consistently protected SSD over the residents it's supposed to serve. This misconduct goes far beyond miscommunication. Multiple civil rights have been violated, due process, equal protection, and the right to be free from retaliation. These concerns were raised previously and ignored. When officials violate civil rights, they lose the immunities they believe they are protected by. Your continued attempts to discredit me, suppress evidence, and avoid accountability only reinforce why I must keep returning. I will not be intimidated out of exercising my constitutional rights. I will continue to correct the record and hold this city accountable because that is what transparency and public service require. Is there anybody has any questions or comments before I leave this time?
I do. You have a copy of that to hand in?
My statement?
Yeah, just so.
Yeah, I gave it to Susan.
That was it. And then we have this. You hand it out. Did
Yep.
Ben get one?
Well,
Okay.
Llewellyn's the one who shared it with all of you and myself months ago.
That's all I have for tonight.
Anyone else?
Do we have access to these recordings that you referred to?
No. Actually, I did, Llewellyn has seen them. In an email, he said that he watched them, listened to them. So I guess it's up to him if he wants to share that with you. There's also a phone call recording between him and I that happened 3 days before he submitted this report. So the inaccuracies is, in my opinion, intentional because we spoke 3 days before he wrote this.
Good, thank you. Okay, I've got a public comment tonight. Okay. I got a little special recognition tonight. Marissa Jacobs, if you could come down and join me. Some of these for you. Yes. In special recognition of Marissa Jacobs, Scappoose City Council, for your outstanding service, dedication, and commitment to the citizens of Scappoose, October 2023 to September 2025. Thank you, Marissa. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Marissa. All along the way. Thank you.
It's your next endeavor.
Don't be a stranger. I think we do have an opening on a couple committees, so I'm sure she leaves with an application.
For
Okay,
both of you.
moving on. Tonight, consent agenda, we're looking at the October 2025 City Council meeting minutes and reappointment of alternate EDC members, Sean Finden and David Sedaris. They're not alternates, are they?
Correct. It just says EC members.
Kept up. EDC member. So I'm looking at a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Houghton. Any seconds?
Second.
Second by Council President Miller. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On the new business, our new number 2, we have a camera truck purchase. Dave Suka, if you want to take the lead on this.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, good evening. So this is on a whim, so I apologize for not having a staff report. Recently, a vendor reached out to me with an opportunity for the city to capitalize on a very affordable piece of equipment that we use quite regularly through contracted services. What they have is a 2022 camera truck that they've used for demonstration purposes only. It's never been out in full service or out on rent. It is virtually like new status, with all of the bugs actually worked out. So it's better than new in some ways. What we'd like to do is seek your approval to make this purchase once I've completed all of the procurement criteria. I have reached out to another vendor. I've got a comparable quote for another brand. The truck that we're looking at is $218,000. And the other comparable one for a 2023 is $400 for a used demo truck. And so that's, I mean, we're talking $180,000 price difference, apples to apples. New for the particular truck that we're looking at is $380 versus the $218. And then the other brand is $500. So this is a substantial savings to the city and a great opportunity to capitalize on this. Time is clicking. They have another vendor who is interested in purchasing this truck, which is why they were here without a staff report for you. So I apologize. I will be seeking a third quote to make sure that we're compliant with all laws on purchasing. Although I don't know that there are that many vendors, this is very specialized equipment. The reason why this is also very advantageous for the city is that we pay every year close to $50,000 for hired services. We're required by DEQ to camera 20% of our sewer system to be compliant with their regulations. And so we're paying, like I said, $45,000 right now. That rate is going up almost $5,000 a year. So it would only take about 4.5 years for us to cover this expense and then start to profit back on it. However, with those services, we do pay for their staffing, not ours. So we would have staff time involved with this. The other thing where this would be advantageous for us is we're only doing the bare minimums right now, and we should be doing more and would like to do more, but we're financially constrained due to budget issues. And we would like to be able to do more route monitoring. Whereas if we had this equipment, we could do that. We do have lines where route intrusion is problematic. And so if we can monitor after we do a route treatment with our own equipment, that would be good. The other is our storm system. We've never TV'd and would like to be able to do that as well. So many great opportunities for us here. I once again apologize for the short notice, but I'm just looking for an approval to make this purchase or allow the city manager to make it once we've completed the rest of the procurement.
Dave, would this be coming out of your budget?
This would be coming out of the wastewater budget, yes.
And on average, how many years will this be working for?
I anticipate this truck being useful to us for at least the next 10. And then the equipment can be upgraded. So over time, we could retrofit out and take out the camera if it's wore out, put a new camera into the same truck. So that would be our vision for it. The equipment that does get dated out, but I talked to the vendor. The new vendor for this particular brand Subsite is Ditch Witch, and they're a large company, well supported. This Subsite's been in business for over 30 years. I'm not worried about them going away. The city's been using Subsite locating equipment as long as any staff member here can remember. So it is quality equipment, and like I said, we'll get many years out of it. Once they say that the equipment is dated, by law, they told me they have 5 years that they have to keep parts available to us. So we know for minimum 5 years that we're covered for getting parts and service for this.
So you said that the cost comes with staff. So is our staff able to, I'm not sure what the equipment is, how technical, how difficult it is?
No, our staff is more than competent enough to do this.
So you don't have
We've
to-
already demoed this. We had this truck in Scappoose just the other day. Some of our staff who works with the sewer system jetting and things now and working with the hired people went out. We've all kind of played around and used it, make sure it works. And yeah, it's
So there's no additional training that's needed?
training comes with this truck included in the price. You get the factory technician to come out, make sure our staff knows how to do it. I have to admit, it's not necessarily rocket science. So once you get used to turning the dials and when to start and stop the camera, they're more than confident to do it.
Warranty?
I'm working on that. There are details that I'm trying to work out on.
So are
this.
we able to, if we do a either resolution or we do a motion, it's per, you'll do all the following of the 3 or 4 quotes and everything will be,
That's
I
correct.
know it's, you can't really wait till the next meeting.
Right, and that's why we're before you tonight, is we're just looking for a pre-approval once we've met all of the criteria for purchasing.
Mr. Go ahead. Dave, I know you said that it'll come out of the wastewater budget, but is there any other physical impact? Does that take away from something else that you were planning? Or is there any other considerations?
This actually would have been in next year's fiscal budget request. This is something that's been on our radar. But we invested heavily into the Vector truck a couple of years ago. That was $480,000. We've just been kind of recouping. We purchased a dump truck this year. And so, like I said, in the upcoming year, you would have seen this piece of equipment requested
At full price.
at full price.
So that this is a turnkey operation.
Yes. I have a photo and brochure if you'd like to see it.
And can you remind me what the total is that you're requesting?
218.
Yeah, well, 220 is the round number for pre-approval, but it's 218,906.05.
And with licensing and insurance and fuel and maintenance and everything, you know, what roughly if it's gonna last for 10 years, it's about $22,000 per year. Can you estimate how much more on top of that each year?
Maybe 1,000. I mean, we put no miles on our vehicles here. We don't drive more than a couple miles a day. So this truck just literally would put around town a couple months out of the year. So operational costs would be less than $2,000 per year.
And then retrofits for the equipment as it gets outdated.
That could be in the 50K range. It depends on the quality of camera equipment that you want to replace with.
So Ben, I assume you agree with this.
Yeah, but Dave brought this to me, and one of the crux of bringing it here is there's somebody else interested in the truck as well, and so it is time sensitive. As opposed to waiting till next meeting, we will need to come back, since this wasn't in the budget, and we'll have to do a resolution to probably dip into the contingency. It wasn't as time sensitive because we have enough money in the budget for things that I had planned anyways, so we can get that all taken care of. But the issue was it may not have been there by then. So we wanted to get a motion of approval from the staff to do that, and then we'll come back with the rest of the stuff. But he can get going down the purchasing agreement with them and get that all taken care of while we do the back end.
And what's the name of the company, Dave, that you're?
Western Systems. Subsite is the brand of the camera equipment.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Council
I'd like to
President.
make a motion that council approve City Manager Berginger to work with the Public Works Director, Dave Zukow, to procure the camera truck that has been proposed tonight for not to exceed $220,000, pending the warranty details being worked out to the satisfaction of both the Public Works Director and the City Manager.
I have a motion by Council President Miller to approve the purchase for City Manager Ben Bergener to work with Dave Suka to purchase a camera truck not to exceed $220,000 with warranty information.
Second.
Second by Councilor Key. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, to me, it's not like it's increasing our costs, because this is something we have to pay for every year anyway, and this saves us money.
Can we contract our work out to another city?
We had talked about that.
We did, but then it just takes away from our own staff and, we can.
Thank you. Now, the real reason we're here, number 3, historic candle sign installation. Merle Reeves, PCC OMEC internship coordinator. So, staff report. One is we ask you really speak good in these so everyone online can hear you. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Okay, I'll try. Hi, everyone. I'm Vero Reeves. I'm the internship coordinator for Columbia Works internship at PCC OMIC Training Center. And I did include, I do have a slideshow that was supposed to be.
We probably have it in our books as well.
Okay.
She did add.
I-
Jay added all.
Well, the slideshow is different than what's in the book, but that's okay. We can just go over this. So, yeah, this project started a couple years ago when Natalie Phelps, my program manager, partnered with the Columbia Economic Team to come up with a tourism initiative project that the interns who are training at our facility during a paid training could use their newfound skills and create these markers. There you go, yeah. So that's okay. I'll bring that marker over. So this is one of three. I'll describe it.
Yeah, for the record.
Here we go.
Please explain what you just showed to us.
Yeah, so I'm holding a roughly 14 by 16 inch piece of metal art or shadow box, or we call it a historic marker. And it has a silhouette of the peace candle, and behind it is a sublimation die print on aluminum. The interns learn how to use the machines. If you can go ahead and scoot forward on the, yeah. So the branding project is for Columbia County. We have Wayla here representing that project. She came up with the branding. Go ahead to the next slide. So the interns created these signs to, like I said earlier, promote that economic tourism initiative. Go ahead. And you can keep going. This is just going over some of the machines that they used. So the die sublimation panel there, that bracket that they cut with the plasma cutter, the design that they designed on a 2D design program and then cut with a plasma cutter, and then they welded it together. They learned all sorts of skills. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I think you're all probably familiar with it, but just thought I'd have it. Go ahead and keep
We were
going.
at a city county dinner the other night and everybody was talking about these great signs, all these areas, Vernonia, Rainier were getting, and I'm like, what about us? We're not included, but now it's-
Oh, no, you're definitely included. It's just taking a little longer to get around to it. So if you'll keep going on the slide, one more maybe. Yeah, so our interns learn how to, will you go to the next slide, please? They also learn how to, all these employability skills along the way. So this is satisfying the workforce grant that we received from Northwest Oregon Works as well. They hired me on as the intern coordinator this year. So this is, now they've put this part in my lap to get these out in the world. And if you'll go to the next slide, please. They go through the whole process of creating a prototype. Go ahead and continue. So we do have installed signs in Vernonia. Continue to the next slide. And Rainier. Rainier also got an eagle. And then Columbia City. And next slide. And Scappoose Bay Marina. So this is what we like to call the Wander Trail. So on the Columbia County app, there will be a trail of these markers that you can find and go visit. On the posts themselves is a QR code that is linked to that app. So you can find other signs as well as local businesses and other tourist destinations in Columbia County around different towns. different cities. And then if you'll go to the next slide, so here are the 3 other markers besides the Scappoose Bay marker that we have for Scappoose. So we have the Watts Home, the Peace Candle, which I have with me, and then one for the waterways of Scappoose, which is actually in front, the silhouette of the cormorant is in front of a photograph that was taken at Chapman Landing. One of our interns rode their bike out there and took that photo. If you'll go to the next slide, here are the interns of those 3 signs, proudly showing their finished projects. And so these are what we're hoping to install at those locations. But yeah, we needed a little help figuring out who to talk to about the Scappoose Peace Candle, and it turns out the city owns that. And so we're hoping that Public Works can collaborate with us and we can get these installed out in the world.
Thank you.
Yes.
Dave, since you're here, and Ben, your thoughts on it? Is this stuff that we can work with someone?
Yeah, when they reached out to us, when they reached out, the reason we wanted to get them before you though is because these are going to be installed on city properties. They
You
don't have
wanted-
logos of ours.
The microphone.
Online.
I wasn't going to talk.
I know, but
I wasn't going to talk that much. Anyways, when the team reached out to us a couple of months ago about this, the reason that we asked them to come here is just present because it will be installed on city property. It does not have our logos on it. So we just wanted to make sure council was in support of this project before anything gets installed. Our crews can easily help install. That's not a big deal. So whenever you approve, then we'll move forward with them to do that.
Make sure you approve, yeah, location, safety, you know, where do you guys think it would work best?
Well, this is
I think
awesome.
that's great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine anybody not being supportive of this.
And moving forward, we'll find more places that signs up and more ideas.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dave, do you need an official motion or anything from council to proceed, or what would you like from us?
Good consensus.
I love
Give
this
us
is,
an update.
I love this is the way, how OMIC and the city is collaborating, and I love to see that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, now on to a resolution. Back to business. Resolution number 25-22, authorizing the city of Scappoose to apply to Oregon Parks and Recreation for a land and water conservation fund grant, providing for signers. City Manager Ben Bergener, lead on this one.
Yeah, the resolution pretty well covers it. We're looking at, so between Veterans Park and Chief Conley Park, there's the river that divides the two. And we had this grant opportunity come for us. Thought it'd be a good opportunity. It fit kind of the need. So it was a Department of Land Conservation grant. And so they're going to be really focused on the water, make sure that we build a bridge that is appropriate for that waterway that connects two parks. It's a 50% match, and they already had a concept already designed. There's always in the plan to do so. So whether we get it this time or next time, we want to get our first grant application in and get feedback, or if we get it, that's great. We'd be happy to get that pedestrian bridge between those two parks to connect our three parks together a little bit better, and goes with the master plan. And to apply for the grant, we need a resolution of support from the council.
Do I need to read the whole thing if we approve? And
Just by title is fine.
so I'm looking for a motion to approve a resolution number 25-22, resolution authorizing the city of Scappoose to apply to Oregon Parks and Recreation for a land and water conservation fund grant, providing for signers.
Mr. Mayor, I move that council move to approve or authorize you to sign resolution number 25-22.
Motion by Council President Miller. Any seconds?
Second.
Second by Councilor Haugen. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Good luck. On to City Manager Performance Assessment Tool, Functional Areas and Performance Assessment. Councilor Kim Holmes. That's the staff report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I hope this is the last time we'll be bringing this before you. What you see is some final changes and improvements updates to the city manager performance assessment tool, which we've been working on for, I'm going to say maybe 4 months at this point. After the last discussion, you'll see I made 2 changes in red line, blue line that you'll find on page 32. The first one is responsive to Councilor Miller's request just to clarify kind of presentation of the budget in a timely and accurate way. And then you'll see another change reflected on page 34 that addresses City Manager Bergener's request that the department head and city manager create the goals to be tracking performance-based outcomes when measuring success of programs at the staff level. I went ahead and sent this also to representative at CIS to give it a review. She's the one I first consulted with at the offset of this project, both myself and Councilor Jacobs when she was serving. And the feedback we got was to offer a description of the rating scale 1 through 5 so that we're each applying them consistently. So you'll also see that addition on the first page of the tool, which is page 31. And then she had some comments on the qualitative bullets that we had underneath. And so it was the intention to eventually remove those. So those are removed. So what you see before you is the final version of the tool that I hope City Council can move to adopt if there are no further questions or edits.
I saw the emails from CIS and I appreciate their feedback and definitely appreciate what you've done here. Spent a lot of time on this and I feel very good about it. At least give it a try, go that first year and we can make changes as we go. But I think too with this, we'll probably be doing this throughout the year. When we get those check-ins, we kind of, we'll be kind of going over stuff. And if we have questions, if we're not sure how something's going, we can kind of address them throughout the time. And so when it comes up, it should be a very quick and seamless process each year when it comes up to time for an evaluation.
Can I say something? I just want to thank you, Councilor Holmes and former Councilor Jacobs for all the work that you put into this. I know that this seems to be dragging on for a while. And just to clarify, it's not reflected on Ben. It's not reflected on our concerns that we have for Ben. So it's just something that we've been talking about, I think previously, even before Ben came on board. So just to clarify that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. And, just to add on, I think a lot of cities struggle to have a meaningful assessment tool. And so I do appreciate the fact that this council took the time to really step back and look at what would be most beneficial for us, for the city manager, in receiving feedback. So appreciate all of the contributions and perhaps maybe even this can serve as a model for other communities who are having similar struggles.
I do feel that this is always, like we do with a lot of things, this isn't for me and this time, it's for the future and the next city manager and the next council going forward, giving them some tools. And I think these are the things that I like to see in a city manager. And I think this is what I want to see them do. And I think it's important that we develop this, like you said, a meaningful tool. I want something that afterwards we can look back and say, did it help? And Ben will give off feedback. And yeah, it helped in this aspect, but not in this. We can kind of tweak it. But we want a tool that can really help build this relationship and help him as well.
So do we need a formal motion to adopt the tool as presented?
Are we good with the proposed rating scale? I mean, that was the one thing CIS had raised too and stuff. Everybody feels comfortable with that. Everybody will have a little bit different definition, I think, maybe at times. But again, this will be done and then averaged,
right?
And kind of all brought in together. Typically, I'll try and know 3.4s or 4.5s. Try to keep it a whole number.
And remember, we may tweak this after round one.
Mhm.
Right?
No, it's written on still.
Yeah, and when, well, PCC is making a sign, it's gonna be on steel, aluminum. What is our time frame for when this first one would be done? Are we,
March would be my year from the last time we did a review.
so we'll probably have another check-in before then. And that will be our time to really get all of our information at that time, and then we'll have something in March.
So, and that brings up a question. So do we need to ideally have your report, the draft final, completed on your anniversary, or is that the time that we actually start the process? Because this can take several weeks, as we've experienced. Hopefully not anymore, but
Either way, I mean, if there was anything attached with that, it could always be backdated as well. So whether it's in March that we start those conversations, because that's the year review, or if we start gathering a couple weeks before then, so we can give the information for that meeting. I guess it's to be seen how this plays out, how it works.
yeah, and the way that I envision it is it's a 12-month evaluation period. So we would probably do the report or commence the report at the anniversary of the 12 months.
Right. Yeah, it'd be every March that we're doing it.
So something by the end of January, it gives us February to,
No, it says 12-month anniversary. So we want to observe 12 months of performance and then base the performance report off the observed 12 months. Is what I'm
so if
thinking.
any financial or anything done at that time, it could be April. If the anniversary is March, but then like you said, if there's backdated stuff, but we want to go March to March or April to March.
And the intent of this is that it will go before staff for their participation as well and feedback. So that might be a step we want to take in February so that we can keep our portion on track.
Well, then I would just ask us work on a calendar of dates of when things need to be done and turned in. Appreciate it. So yeah, if we're looking at a formal motion to accept this city manager performance assessment tool.
Mayor,
Santiago?
I move to pass the city manager's performance assessment tool, function areas and performance assessment as written.
Motion by Councilor Santiago to accept the city manager performance assessment tool, functional areas of performance assessment as written, version 3.
Version 3, yes.
Any seconds?
Yeah, I'll second.
By Councilor Marquis. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, at least great. We have something set, and so let's make it work. We appreciate it. I think it will be good. And thank you, Ben, for your help and participation, and definitely Councilor Holmes and Councilor Jacobs for all their hard work.
Thank you. I will go ahead and accept the red line, change the version to final, remove the draft water stamp, and get a copy to city manager.
Great.
I would suggest maybe we also just keep a copy in the back of our folders so that we can easily reference what it is that we're assessing here.
And when you send over the final, we can just have Susan add that to all the binders.
Well, can't we just keep the draft to save paper?
If you want to, that's fine.
I'm just saying, I mean, it's the same, we don't have any changes, right?
Except it has this page on the back page because he.
Oh.
I'll tabulate it next time. I'll be more like Susan.
Okay, again, we sound like a broken record, but number 5, which is gonna be number 6, we're discussing canceling December 1, 2025 city council meeting. Comes right off of the Thanksgiving holiday, so all the staff reports would have to be done, and I'm sure there'll be some people on vacation throughout the work Thanksgiving. And at this time, there's nothing even on the agenda, and anything that comes up, we don't have anything pressing that could go to the December 15th meeting.
Yeah, there's one potential, and we'll let the council know. We're working on our the basalt well, and we were hoping to have. We originally had it scheduled for this meeting, a report from our new engineer, but with their new contractor. They haven't been able to get that done yet. With the holiday, I don't know if they'll be done by the first anyway. So there is the chance if it was time sensitive beyond the 8th. However, a week, I don't know if it's really going to make a big difference. So the plan is probably just going to be on the 15th. That's where we have it scheduled right now. But if there was, we'll talk to Joe and he'll send out a notification just as a potential December 8th, but I wouldn't say put it on the calendar right now.
And that would be the only thing on.
Right, it would just be
agenda. We
just
won't
for
have
that.
anything else. I know our book says we really, for business sake, need to have one a month. We like to have two to be able to spread it out, but, and I don't think it says we have to make a motion to cancel, but we like to, is transparency and talk about it and realize every meeting does cost the city money. And so, just to meet with nothing to go on, I think is smart. So, I will, after hearing that, I'll entertain a motion to cancel the December 1st city council meeting.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor, yes?
I move that we cancel the December 1st city council meeting.
Councilman Scioto makes the motion to cancel December 1st, 2025 city council meeting. Any second?
Second.
Kim's got it, sorry.
Councilor Holmes makes the second. Any discussion?
I do have a question. Is there anybody that can't be here on the 15th so we can kind of gauge what the 15th looks like?
15.
I'll be here.
I'll be here.
We'll be
Hold
here.
on a second.
Okay, I won't be here physically, but I will likely be here virtually.
I'll be here.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be here. And again, this is if it's really pressing and something comes up, we can look, we're looking at December 8th on that. If we feel that we need to have something done. Any more discussion?
Mayor, I'm sorry, let's go ahead and close this out
Those
first.
in favor, say by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Should we also talk about what day is the first meeting in January with New Year's? That could pose an issue too. Should
January
we
5th.
get that in people's?
I would set that to have everybody look at January 5th. It's again, coming right off the new year. We have to have the report out. We like to have it out a week ahead, and that's right at the New Year holiday. So over the course of the next 2 weeks, see if there's anything that can be pushed to the.
Yeah, for further context, too, the 3rd and the 4th are the weekend.
And then the next one is after Martin Luther King holiday, so it's a Tuesday, I believe, 20th. And we'll see. Again, I think most of us would be either in town or online if we need to have it January 5th, but for staff purposes.
So for now, the council would be in favor of trying to have that one canceled too as well, if there's nothing pressing on that day.
I would like to look at it and see.
Okay.
I mean,
We should probably wait until the
Yeah.
December 15th meeting.
but
Right,
instead
but
of
we can
just
at least
waiting,
Start planning.
instead of putting this just 4 days before, we're just giving you a heads up to look.
Okay.
I think last year we canceled that one because it was like the 3rd. Okay, so number 7 is now general fund level of service. We talked about this a little bit last month in a work session. And so we have some more information. Assistant to the city manager and city planner, NJ Johnson, the staff lead.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, Council. So yeah, as the mayor mentioned, we did sort of an overview in early October in a council work session. Now we're going to split up 2 more discussions on the general fund. Tonight, we're going to take a look at the expense side. And then the next time we meet and discuss this, we're going to take a look at the revenue side. So tonight, what our goal is to establish the level of service for the services that the general fund provides. And the way that I'd like to do that is we talked about the 3 scenarios where scenario 1 is the bare bones budget that is just doing what cities are legally obligated to do and provide services for that. Scenario 2 is quality operations, which by and large meets with what we are right now. So maintain staffing levels, all that kind of thing. And then scenario 3 is aspirational operations, which really goes above and beyond. It would be considered exemplary in the state context for a city of our size to do those kind of things. In general, scenario one, if we raise no more revenues, we could completely balance the budget without doing anything else. Scenario two, we would be looking at a deficit of roughly $1 million based on our current revenue level. And then scenario three would be a deficit, and again, this is annual deficit of $2 million. So as a way to start for our base scenario, and I can answer more specific questions, but rather than go through 1,000 lines of the general fund, I thought it'd be easiest to break it down into these. What is the general current temperature on the level of service we would like to aspire to?
I personally, obviously, but mine, quality operations. I think if it's basically what we've been doing now, and before my time, we've done very good about looking to the future, spending our ARPA dollars well, and so we're not having to raise a bunch of rates, but we are improving and increasing. Hearing from the other cities that are getting way behind on things, they're struggling finding funds. I'd like to see the quality operation maintained. And if something ever came through that would allow us an increase, then we could look at some aspirational items. But if I'd like to look at thinking kind of where we are and not doing the bare bones.
And Jay, how forward-looking are we going with this? Are we talking, we're considering over the next 10 years, 15 years?
Yeah, generally this whole discussion is trying to solve about a 6 to 10 year window. So, if we change nothing, we had the same revenues and the same service level. So kind of that scenario two that we're at right now, we would be fine for next year and the year after that and the year after that. But then when we hit about year 6 is when we start to run into trouble. So this whole conversation is trying to get ahead and look at things down the road. So it really is sort of a 10-year conversation.
I had the same question. It was in context of the police department staffing because 16 currently meets our current population and the recommendations. So when we talk about 16, but we're talking 10 years, is 16 really what we need?
Yeah, and those ones, Councilor President Miller, those ones we're going to get into later. Those we've kind of pieced out specifically and we'll discuss. Right now, you can think of all of the dollars and the staffing levels as 2025 cents. And so as property tax revenues increase and property values increase and we develop more revenues and things like that, sort of naturally and organically over time, then also as appropriate, we would raise staffing levels accordingly over the years as well. But you can think of all of the numbers we're dealing with in the 2025 sense with some natural growth expected.
Another part to consider is the first question about what type of quality. That's just a general policy. But then we're going to go and we're going to look through each of these individual items and we're going to nitpick each of those as well. Right. Saying, okay, so for the rest of the general fund that's not listed here, that's how we're going to budget our general fund. That's what we've been doing anyways, which is great. But then there are specific things with the council or hot topics with the community, such as policing and parks, where maybe we want to adjust either way. That can also affect our budget substantially, and they're the biggest areas of opportunity to adjust our budget. So we want to make sure the council is part of those conversations to kind of put on that meter, where do we want to be on those things? So we can come back when we're doing our analysis for expenditures and our recommendations, how we bridge that gap and at what timeline as well.
I've seen it seems to me that we've been very conservative before my time and we have a lot of money in funds. And so I would like to see us on that deficit of 600,000 a year, versus $1 million. I'd like to budget based on that. We've been very fiscally sound with the funds, our dollars, and it's put us in a good spot. And so, but I also like to be able to keep some in case an opportunity does arise to buy a park that we weren't even thinking about because we were able to find half of the money in a grant and we weren't thinking about it, and have that ability. So the quality operations, but more on that $600,000 to $700,000 deficit each year versus $1 million.
Mr. Mayor. Yes. So these three scenarios are great, but one key point that I think we need to take into consideration when looking at these is the state of the economy and what people's appetite is for these types of things, because these like bare bones operation, quality operations, aspirational operations. Like, of course, we all want to be at aspirational operations, but we also have to balance that with where we're at currently in the time too. So I think and I honestly, for me, I think that's more realistic to look at than, or maybe weighs a little bit more than compared to our, I don't know how to phrase this correctly, but our service levels, because we're not going to be able to achieve any of these things if we don't take into account what our taxpayers are willing to pay.
Indeed.
So when we talk about this, I would just ask that we really keep in mind the state of the economy and where we're at.
And that is a huge part of the conversation as representatives of the public is what is that appetite? Yes, we know where we want to be. We know the public for a couple of years ago were really in support of our police department and keeping that. Okay, to what level is the appetite, knowing there's going to be some cost and what's reasonable to achieve that? And that's really part of these discussions. You know, preliminary surveys we did at the last town meeting, people acknowledged, once you attended that, acknowledged that, yeah, we know there's probably going to be some type of fee. We want to make sure we have that quality. The question is between quality or aspirational, what is the appetite? What is that service level? And can the public, or are they willing to support that?
Can you remind us when that survey was, what year?
I mean, there's been various ones. The most recent annual town meeting in April of this year, we had near unanimous support for a small fee for public safety and parks.
But that was a very small sample.
Right. No, we
Correct. Yeah.
And at the same time, the one before that, I think when we were talking our parks master plan, we really seemed like a lot of people were more willing to pay for more park, more level service.
And part of this would be, after we get the direction from the council, before we do anything, would be to go out and get more information from the public, sending out another survey more on the mass sense to answer those specific questions. And we're not going to get everybody in the city who answers, but we can get more of that feedback. Back to you, Jeffy.
Yeah. Any more feedback on the base level of service?
Yeah, I agree, I think, with everyone with the quality operations
Yes.
approach, number two. I also think we should look at, because there are clouds on the horizon. And so we're maybe good for the next 1 or 2 years, and but 6, 7, 8 years down the road, maybe we should look at a rainy day fund approach. Because the sun isn't going to be shining all the time.
Yeah.
And so I think to formulate that, and maybe start that this year. So can we? So we've got, looks like about $120,000 in discretionary funds on the list that you have before us. So maybe trim that back to X and put that into a fund that's could pay dividends later on. So kind of being proactive rather than reactive in a few years.
Yeah. Right. And it is difficult to grow a rainy day fund when we're currently taking away from our current fund. That's just moving money that we're eventually gonna have to take out anyways.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to come to at least a funding level to where we're not breaking even or having a deficit, but we're able to put some away for something like that. That would be part of those conversations that maybe we have to have a little bit in there to make sure that because you're right. One of the nice things about Scappoose compared to other cities around the state right now is we do have a very healthy general fund, because we've had short staffing in police. There have been many things that contributed to that, but we do have that rainy day fund set up to where we are now able to look at this over the next several years, not, oh no, we're in trouble right now.
Yeah.
I think that needs to be part of the conversation, though, to Joel's point, is what does council want that rainy day fund to be at? League of Oregon Cities, I think, has, or maybe it's not League of Oregon Cities, but there's some professional organization out there that has the recommended reserve amount. I don't remember what it is right now. Is it 3 times the monthly expenditures? I mean, obviously that's a recommendation and a minimum. Right.
I'd have to look.
I mean, I do, but I think that, like, for example, supporting the senior center, I mean, it says here 20,000. I mean, I like to know if they count on that money, if they didn't have that money or support, what would they do? Because it's a huge, organization that supports our community. Also, the events like the Outdoor Summer Festival, we used to spend 10 times of that before. And 10,000, just to support a community event, I don't think it's a lot. So, I mean, I can see why we can save, but I think also to look at the impact of not supporting these organizations,
Right.
what that would mean.
And then, yeah, that's why these ones are called out specifically, because they are of such huge public interest.
Right.
And that's really a call you all are going to have to make. So I think there's general consensus on moving forward with scenario 2. So I think we can get into the specific ones on page 39. So we'll just go one by one. We can discuss them if we want, or just get a quick straw poll. Nuisance abatement. So this is where, we have a code compliance issue, and the city is the one that actively takes the steps to go and abate it, to fix the issue. Haven't in the past 3 fiscal years, we haven't spent more than 7,000 on this. A lot of years it's closer to 1,000. So when Ben and I were doing our different scenarios, our aspirational was actually 7,000, even though we have 12,000 budgeted for it. So on nuisance abatement, where would you all stand on that issue?
I'm for keeping that because it's a community quality of life issue.
Do you think 12,000 is fine versus, since we haven't been there over 7 and versus like a 10, a little bit of savings?
I think more than anything on the nuisance abatement, it's more just the appetite. Do we continue forward with how we're doing nuisance abatement? We have a code and compliance officer that's a part-time. And that's new. So as we get more and more of those, these numbers will go up. At the same time, we can also forward those charges to the landowners. And so we can recover some of that cost as well. It's just more on that one is service level. We want to keep going the direction we have. We have a part-time, keep going proactively after those nuisances.
I want to make sure that everybody understands what this 12,000 is for. That is not for the position. That is for literal abatement. Like somebody doesn't mow their grass, we pay somebody to go do it.
Yes. This is for the city going and fixing the issue, not telling someone to fix the issue.
Can I talk that too as
Please.
well? Yeah, so when it comes to the code enforcement portion, usually we try to give warnings and citations, but there's certain points where people have not progressed or they're not following through. That's where this money would come in to help us as a police department to enforce that and actually address the problem with it. As NJ said, address it to the landowner. So
I'm personally fine with it too, because it could lead to more income from fees too. So,
well, there's a safety component. Sorry.
Yes.
There's a safety component too, because like tall grass in the, summertime can lead to natural cover fires too. So.
And Chief Llewellyn, typically when someone's not responsive and not progressing through the request to remediate, what's the cause? Is it a financial limitation on their part?
I don't know for every single situation when it comes down to it. It could possibly be, we do try to work with the people within our community the best we can with certain things. But I can't particularly say why certain people do it. Because some things are pretty simple. We just need a lawnmower or something to just go out there and actually execute it. And I also think now that we're being more proactive too, and actually citing people when it comes down to it after education portion doesn't work. I don't think that was maybe done before. And now people are seeing that we're following through with these processes. So it may take some time to do so.
Another reason too is not every property in the city is somewhere where someone lives. So it might be a stormwater facility. There's no structure on it, but it needs to be maintained. And we have a lot of stormwater facilities in the city that are owned and maintained by someone that lives out of state, for instance, and just their person that's supposed to do it manages 12 others in Oregon, and they just haven't gotten to it. So it could be a lot of reasons. It's not always just someone who lives in a home not taking care of the property they live in. Any other discussion on nuisance abatement? Okay. Chamber of Commerce, our membership dues are currently $1,300.
Well, that's a due. That's not something you're supporting them. It's just a membership.
This is the membership dues, yeah.
What is our ROI on that?
Quantifiably?
I mean, some of these are we really enjoy. I mean, they really do look for this, and it's important to be part of it. But if I look at it as like $1,300, but what are we getting from it? I know they value us and stuff, but I mean, there's a couple on here that aren't necessarily bringing us anything.
I mean, a lot of it too, our dues are sort of supporting the work they do. It's not necessarily transactional for city
Right.
Scappoose capital C, but for the Scappoose community and the business community.
I think for, to support our local chamber, I think it's
Yeah,
important.
but then I would like to ask them to have, they have events here in town for us, you know, and I'd like to be able to build that relationship then and use them more to promote, you know, the city with the businesses.
We should attend more.
Do we know how many Scappoose businesses are part of the chamber?
I do not.
So I think I'd want to know that. And then if we have a way to, it'd be really interesting to see what those businesses think about their membership.
I know going to their awards banquet, there was nobody from Scappoose winning. And I mean, there were very few companies from Scappoose, very few businesses. So that would be one thing that we would like to see them reach out more to South, you know, Scappoose and increase their membership.
Right, and whether we're part of that chamber or not doesn't prohibit that other businesses, if they find value in that, in participating in the chamber as well. This is more of, do we want to be part of the chamber? Is that something we want to continue to, as a city, be part of and participate in?
Are all the other cities members in the county?
I mean, I don't know for
I
sure.
think St. Helens is,
Yeah.
it's just more of a chamber for our two.
It is the South County Chamber of Commerce.
It would just be interesting to know, you know, how much or how many businesses in the city of Scappoose are benefiting from the chamber. Not that there's a direct, like, quantitative or nexus type for our membership, but it is informative.
Yeah, we can follow up and get that info. Are there any other thoughts on the chamber?
No, I just want to say, I'm sure that they're having issues with staffing. And so when you don't have the staff to support the organization, it can be tough. So, but I don't want to be the cost of just being, you know, cutting. I just want for us to participate and support if we can. That's what I think. Now, the Greater Portland, you know, that's different. There's outside organizations, they're bigger, they have more funding options and so forth. So.
Yeah, Greater Portland Inc. is more, not as much about being a member. They provide trainings and get-togethers, and they're kind of like CET, but from outside of our county, and they push people our way. So they even push people to CET. So Lori does go to those occasionally. I was going to those till I helped Lori get into the economic development a little bit more. I still sometimes attend. I mean, they provide good statistics. I mean, it's a good organization. What do we get out of it? I don't know, $2,000. I don't want to get hung up a lot on the smaller dollar amounts compared to where we can really focus on the police, but it is an organization we're part of. We want to keep that or not, either here or there. It won't break them.
I get a lot of email from them, see a lot of meetings. I used to go to a few, but I don't know. It'd be great to hear from some people that are involved or do know how it all works.
Yeah, I didn't know that you guys went to it.
I mean, you guys find value in it. I mean, that's,
Well, these aren't significant amounts of money.
Right. Yeah, on these smaller ones, I would just more say if there's interest or not. I mean, it's not make or break on these ones, and we could look into some more of these if we needed to, but I also don't want to spend a lot of time on $1,000 here and there.
Yep.
Okay. Columbia Economic Team, 12,000.
you know, I personally do believe that is worth it but they have the opportunity to bring us a lot of, I mean, we're not doing a lot of economic development ourselves. I mean, some, but proactively going out and doing that. Plus, it also, I think that includes the small business, we keep it local website. The big one is the tourism. It's probably the biggest one.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think they do provide a service, and I go to all their meetings and I'm on their board, so I'm a little biased.
I have questions. Sorry. And maybe so I
You want her to come through it?
maybe, hold on just a moment. So I am curious, I'll let you decide after I ask my questions, if you want to sit back there or come grab the mic. So I am curious, just for my own information, what the size of the CET's budget is annually in whole? And what our money goes towards? What percentage, 12,000 makes up of that? I want to
Is
have
that
a
a
better
membership
understanding.
or, what is that?
Annual membership.
It's
They have been talking about price structure for businesses that use their services because they provide a lot of work for businesses.
We have, well, so CET is a membership-based organization, so it does go towards, staffing and funding. We also, I can't tell you our budget off the top of my head. We do go after a lot of, we've got business Oregon grants through ROIs. We've got the SBDC or SBRC. Tourism is funded through Travel Oregon. And so it goes towards staffing to pay for programming.
So the 12,000 is a sponsorship? Is it?
It's a membership.
It's a
Yeah,
membership.
yeah, and it's kind of grandfathered into the original days of CET was created to be the economic development agency on behalf of the county, to be kind of nimble and be able to act on behalf of the cities and counties. And we have about 40 members, all the cities, the county, and then there's a lot of private membership as well.
Do you guys produce a strategic or a report every year?
We do. We have an annual report, and Paul Vogel usually brings that around. I know we recently just did the BRE program, which was an intensive process of staff went through some classes, and it's business retention and expansion programming. And now all of the programming and the work is being done towards the strategies and the priorities that we came up with out of that report. And I believe Sierra came around and presented that.
Yes.
Maybe Paul did. Yeah.
Does that capture deliverables and measurables to kind of see what CET's?
We
producing?
kind of have, so the report, we've just kind of come out with the plan. And with that plan, we now have a baseline. And so going forward, we'll have deliverables.
Yeah, I mean, putting on my business hat on, if I give money to something or I put money into something, I'm going to want to see what it produces. So that's helpful. Thank you.
Right.
So wait, as a reference point, what does St. Helens contribute to this, to CET?
I believed they, and there was no rhyme or reason in the original days of how everybody set up their membership. And that's something that we're intensively looking at right now for the organization's sustainability. St. Helens, I think, is about, I want to say off the top of my head, and it's 17,000 is what they've been putting in.
We're looking at tiered rates.
We have tiered, we've looked at all of the different economic development agencies that are like us around the state, and some of them, the majority of them base it on the size of the company and the jurisdiction, and we just haven't done that.
I would then maybe see how close they are to being able to come and present a report and an update on
Yeah, absolutely.
the measurables to see, because I think, we will get that back with one business coming, with taxes.
Yeah, and Paul, he typically goes around like quarterly at like the city of St. Helens. That's what they've requested. And so you just need to make that request.
And Paul participates in the EDC meeting.
Correct, yeah.
And
So he
gives
does,
updates.
he does those check-ins as well, so. And then Joe's also or Mayor Backus is also at our monthly meetings.
If anybody's interested in coming down building.
Yeah, and staff is working with CET several times throughout the month.
And then we also have the Small Business Resource Center, which I'm not sure how many businesses are being serviced in Scappoose specifically, but I know that the number is up to about 300 businesses throughout the whole county.
And that's free service for small
That's
business.
free, yes.
And so we're helping our paying a little bit of fee, our small businesses. get
As
help.
well as the Keep It Local program and Sierra's, in neck deep in the Keep It Local for the Holidays program. So get your punch cards.
And Munch and Learn's resources for small businesses, classes, on accounting and bookkeeping and website and PR and all that kind of stuff.
I think the recurring theme is here. I don't have a problem with any of these. I just want to understand what we're getting out of it.
I think they have the ability to show.
Yeah, we're always happy to present
Other
and-
than just say, you could show us, we have 100 companies from Scappoose that come to, 50 have used our small business resource center. we have this many local people and keep it local, or we help retain this business or, help with this business.
There's also the time spent, on recruitment, which we were so close with, the latest one, that just, they decided to stay in France. But, a lot of time was spent on pulling all the numbers together, pulling, the power companies together and all the things that go into that. So it's kind of,
And they're
yeah.
Herding cats.
What are they of our enterprise zone? There are,
We're the administrator of the enterprise zone. Yes.
It's
well.
yeah, manager.
Yeah, the way my mind thinks is I look at all these, I add them up, and I look at like, I know what I get out of a FTE police officer position, but what do I get out of every single one of these, individual items that add up to potentially an FTE?
Mhm.
So I'm not by any means saying I don't support these. I just want to have a clearer idea of what we, get out of each of these.
Yeah, and we're happy to share any reports and anything.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Willa.
All right.
I do think where they can provide financial, some of these are just, we're just giving money
Right.
to a nonprofit or a group.
Right. These economic ones, this goes along with our goal of a thriving economy. They do help staff. They do provide things. They all help our businesses grow as well. I think in general, those three, staff isn't supportive thus far. And if we weren't, we'd bring it to you saying, we're not finding a benefit. I mean, Greater Portland would probably just bow out of. I don't think that's as much of a council concern on that one. But for sure, the Chamber of Commerce, since it is local, we want to make sure we have that buy-in, CET as well.
Where CET comes up with levels, we can look at levels of saving. I mean, how much is the government category for Chamber of Commerce costs versus, we're a platinum member instead of a nonprofit member. Would the nonprofit member still keep us as a member, but be a little less expensive? Or private levels of membership.
Anything more on CET? Okay, Economic Development Committee lunches. Is this something we still want to continue doing?
So when I was looking at this list, I'm thinking, and of course, we can all agree or disagree, but why can't we just do these types of meetings, committee meetings online?
Good.
It'd be, save on the food, more people be able to attend. Right now they're at noon, sometimes so it's the middle of the day for people that have jobs. For me, it's sometimes very difficult. So, but wouldn't it be, and then if everything is online anyway, right? You put the recorded online, so wouldn't it be easier for you as well?
I think the EDC and other committees, we're going to probably talk about over the next couple months, especially maybe even our goal setting too, and really discuss, because there is some savings, go online. They're business people, so it is in the middle of the day. Maybe that doesn't mean, and for our staff, maybe that isn't the best time or so I think we need to look at that one.
Yeah.
I mean, we had talked about cutting them for these meetings when they're going to go long or when we have special guests as well. I do like thanking people for being part of our committees and coming and stuff, but maybe $1,200, because that's basically $100 of meal is what we're estimating.
Exactly.
And if we do start canceling some meetings, then it would be half, or we just do them on a quarterly, we offer lunch. I mean, I would definitely look at that one.
Yeah. No, you're right. That all is a different conversation kind of about EDC more globally. This really here is just about, if it existed as it did today, do we want to provide them lunch at noon?
What's the attendance like on those?
Very good. Normally 0 to 2 people are out, normally closer to 1.
And they always have a guest for each, typically in staff, so 10 to 10 people.
Yeah.
And their bagels, most likely.
I order 15 bagels if there are community updates and 12 if there are not.
So I'm not involved on the EDC committee side, so I'm sorry, I'm not aware of this. What is the value of EDC? And I ask that with some things in mind. So if you do go to a virtual format, I think there's a lot to be said about seeing people in person.
Mhm.
And I think it fosters a relationship that you can't get virtually. I don't necessarily have a problem with some of those meetings being virtually, but I do think that for the sake of the relationships and teamwork,
yeah,
among other things, it is important to have those meetings in person when possible. And one thing that I've noticed that not necessarily the city of Scappoose doesn't do well, but some others, is they come up with these arbitrary dates on when they're going to have meetings, and then they wonder why nobody attends. Well, when you're trying to get 15 chiefs or 15 elected officials in a room on the same day without pulling them, it's never going to work. They all have busy schedules. So anyway, all that to say too is we could, we could poll to see if they want to do the meeting, who can attend virtually versus in person, and you can make your decision if you want to do virtual or in person based on what people's availability is too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people do attend virtually as well. So-
If you decide we'll meet quarterly, but we'll virtually monthly. I mean, combination.
Yeah, and in my opinion too, on the virtual or in person, virtual is very good if you have, a clear, like very business oriented agenda. You have tasks to get through, it's way more procedural. When you're brainstorming and discussing and visioning and that sort of thing, that is much more of a environment fostered in a room like this. That's my
You want a lot more feedback and
Yeah.
dialogue. It's a lot easier. And if they're doing the urban renewal grant applications,
Right.
and they have questions for someone, it's probably good to be in person.
This budget, we would have to find 500 of these things to address our shortfall.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, this is totally valuable to
Yeah.
get people together.
Yeah.
The one I would look at, like the annual town meeting, is there a way to find sponsorships and, and fundraise for the money, so it's not coming out of our coffers, but people can donate.
Yeah.
Or is there the potential to couple the annual town hall meeting with one of these other community events? We don't have to have it in the winter, do we?
No.
Yeah, we've been talking, how do we re-envision that, whether it's coupled with another event or even making it a big, different event, and that's just a piece of it to benefit to the community. But yeah, those are all.
Combine it with Earth Day.
I view the annual town meeting budget, to me, I equate that to being like a marketing budget, and we need buy-in from our citizens. We need that interaction with our citizens too. If we're gonna go ask from them any sort of levy or money, basically, if we're gonna go ask them for money, this is the time to make your relationships, and investing $3,000 in the annual town meeting to communicate with our public and show them that we're being good stewards of government and money is a drop in the hat. It's very minimal. I don't think that's much at all.
Yeah, and you think of how many people, this is the one time they interact with their city government other than turning on the water. This is your opportunity to build those relationships. And, it's such a important and impactful moment for those people that don't frequent city events or keep track of our Facebook all the time.
So the question of this one would be, do we even look at increasing that to get, because a lot of the comments I hear, we get a lot of the same people come to the annual town meeting. There's a whole community out there would love to draw in, but maybe that environment or setting isn't what is attractive to them to attend. If there's a way to market-wise to get more out there, more attention to it, or get more people in there, is that worth
I think
for the community?
I think there's a few things we need to do differently, and that is one, advertising. But NJ and I were having a conversation earlier about the different things that we can be doing that are perhaps more interesting than the things that we have traditionally done to help attract more people to come. But I think the question really becomes is, what are we doing at that event that attracts or does not attract people? And then, of course, you always have to market, because if people don't know about something, they're not going to come. So it's pointless to spend a bunch of time organizing something that nobody knows about.
So
there's two
I'm
facets.
going to add a dimension to this. So some of the youth councils in our state do annual town meetings for the community with the city. And so I think it'd be nice to get Ty's input on this if he's willing to offer.
Yeah, so from what I've gathered, part of the point of getting like a youth council is to get more civic engagement, right? And so having events like, I know Hillsborough, they require each one of their members to go to a volunteer event and help advertise for that. And they hold these different engagement events for kids in their respective cities. I'm going to Hillsborough or Happy Valley on Wednesday to go to their youth town hall and figure out what's going on there. And so I think that in order to get more civic engagement, if we can get our kids out and interested in this, that's kind of my goal right now, then I think parents could follow.
Well, I think if we put a really good program together and might be talking about funding levels and what are people willing to spend, that we can market that, get that out to everybody. You know, you're gonna have a say on, you know, how we raise this funds. So you want to come and voice your opinions. And if we really are gonna have a good program and maybe get the youth out, say, hey, we're looking at youth council. And I do think I'd like to see more people. And so maybe more money spent on the marketing and advertising and versus maybe the food. And we have a lot of our partners there. We offer all the nonprofits an ability to come and sell themselves. You know, maybe they can help by bringing some, each of them bring something food like donuts, muffins, something to help with the people that show up. They're there to also get out the information. I think for free. I mean, we don't charge them to come to our thing. So it'd be great if they could help as well. So move some of those funds into more of the marketing aspect.
I would say, I remember earlier talking a couple weeks ago where they're talking about more family-oriented events, like having people whose kids go to Grant Watts or the elementary schools, kind of having an event where they can kind of, it's for both of them, and so you can get more parents out and more kids out to, I remember, I don't know, it was a couple weeks ago with talking about that, but having, I think it's a angle that you can do for marketing it.
All right. Where are we now? What do you like to hear?
So we can kind of combine the next two, Earth Day and Outdoor Summer Festival. Is this something that we want to continue providing support for?
And one of the main questions there, I know JJ had came back last time asking for twice as much. I mean, is the funding level what we want to keep going with? I know she's going to come in probably January and ask again or talk again, but it is a question that is recurring. Is that the current level we want to continue with, or is there interest in from the council to have that higher funded?
I personally, I mean, I think it's fine where it is, but I'd also like to talk about looking at doing something else or getting with her and doing something much larger, bigger, you know, where we can fundraise for it or get sponsorship. So it's less out of our pocket, but a bigger event, or the same event, but less out of our pocket with sponsorships. I mean, in this economy right now, and we're looking at raising it, just if we raise it, that means we're going to go out and have the citizens pay for it. Sure. I don't think we need to raise it right now. I don't think.
Or, I mean, I think one thing to look at, one of the reasons these events are so important is because we do not have recreational programming or formal programming for our residents. Is that something that we want to look at as we discuss the Parks and Rec department to get an FTE to really start to drive organizing some community events and classes and, you know, other engagement opportunities?
It's not on here, but is there interest in that?
For myself, yeah, I would love to see a focus on expanding some recreational opportunities in the community for all ages.
I would rather see things like that than participation in some of these things that have no measurable outcome for our community. If it comes down to money and we can't afford everything, I would rather see things that our community can participate in, like Kim just brought up. I mean, as somebody that's lived here all their life, the Scappoose Powwow was a huge thing. There's been some discussion about bringing that back. And I think Janet Williams and Joel, I think you had conversations with Janet a little bit too. But there, at some point, there does need to be a larger conversation about bringing back a summertime event to that magnitude, because I can tell you again, having lived here all my life. And I saw Susan nodding her head back there too. It was a hit and it meant a lot to this community.
I would say that if there were any major changes, I personally would say a year out, like as close as we are to them going to be coming and starting their fundraising, I wouldn't want to surprise them. So maybe one more year, but
But I mean, not only that, but going back to the powwow days, I would be shocked if the city spent more than $5,000 on that. It was sponsored. And using the Vernonia Jamboree, I think that last time I talked with the mayor there a couple of years ago, that thing is huge and the city spends $1,300. That's a city investment.
1,300
1,300.
For the Salmon Fest?
That was, well, the Jamboree, but that's a bigger one. But in the summertime, and it gathers the whole region, the town is just crammed with people. But $1,300, and they have all kinds of activities because of the foundation for it.
Who coordinates that event?
They have volunteers,
Volunteers.
and the city, the city kind of catalyzes it through their recruitment processes and get volunteers that could get going on it. But it's amazing.
Well, and that's kind of what a recreation, if we had a recreation staff, could help coordinate those types of volunteers.
Right. It's a great question of, do we actually go for the budget to actually have it funded as an FTE? My current plan that we've been moving towards, and we had talked about NJ when he first was looking at this position, was to kind of have half his FTE started to put together recreation programming, and as soon as we can sustain moving it to a full FTE, whether that's him and with people under him or a separate department is still to be seen. That's kind of the current direction, but we could also get there quicker if there was a devoted person not having their, torn between everything else too. So that is
I'm
good
gonna
question.
back to the youth council concept again. Because there are communities out there, whether it's Hillsborough, Beaverton, Hillsborough, Bedford, whatever, that use, employ, and leverage the youth councils to do this kind of stuff. And it has a double-edged sword to it, because when the kids are involved, their parents are involved. And so cultivating that mentality in the community is huge. But it takes, you have to have the impetus to it and you get it started. So, it might build slowly, but once you get it moving, it's unstoppable.
Yeah.
Well, and thinking further on Joel's comment too, and combining Kim's, if we were to get a program coordinator too, we could also potentially look at making them a volunteer coordinator, because all these things have a management aspect, as you very well know. You can have volunteers, but there has to be somebody that manages them, and that's a huge undertaking to make sure everything's lined up. So anyway, I'm just throwing that out there, that if we do consider a position at some point, like Kim is recommending, that maybe we also look at it being, faceted towards also managing volunteers and try to build up our volunteer program within the city as well.
And that kind of brings me to like the bottom two items. Those are like a big dollar. Those,
Yeah.
to me, I mean, the community enhancement program is great. I like helping, but that is one you could cut to 30,000 and people would get less, but then we set that other 12,000 aside for a recreation person or.
Well, and even just looking at numbers, if you cut out senior center, community enhancement, outdoor, there's pretty much your FTE for a parks person.
Yeah.
Recreation
Senior
program.
center one of one. Why did we start that? I know that we were helping them get out of some tough troubles over the last couple of years, and we really helped them. And we helped them with some programs. They're doing really well now. Seems like they're on the right page. They're making money on the bingo. And so I'd have to see, we've been giving them money for the last 30 years. And this is the part, if it's kind of new to kind of help them as they were getting through some problems, then it might be time to discuss that, either lowering it or dropping it all together. How many cities donate to their citizens?
The thing with the senior center is that they have the capacity to generate revenue. So unlike some of these others that we're talking about, and they're different dynamics, of course, but the senior center would have to come up with a really compelling argument to have me continue to support $20,000, given that they have something they can sell and they can make their own money. And how much effort they put into that is basically how much they get out of it. So that's where I see on that. CET,
CEP.
Yeah, I'm sorry, CEP. The problem I have with that is that if at any time the city is going to ask for money, we shouldn't be giving money away. That's my position on that.
Have we gotten an update on the projects that we funded already?
Normally we get the updates right when they apply again, honestly, in May. So I've gotten one of them. It was from the senior center. They completed their renovation project, but the other reports I haven't heard on. And it's common that they say, oh, it's time to get that in.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how it affected their business, right? How it improved their business, what they projected or what they wrote, it hasn't come to fruition.
Well, right. And yeah, I don't have the data compiled or in front of me, but for all of them, we asked them on the application, what's your operating budget? So we can see how much $5,000 would actually help them.
We could revisit and say, we're looking at max $2,000 and we're giving out $20,000 in a year. I mean, there are things you can look at. It's like us going out for grants. So we want as many grant dollars as you can. Some of these programs really rely on it for a specific little program.
Yeah.
But again, I do agree with Council President Miller that if we're looking to raise more money or need more money, we're giving this out. On that one, obviously, we're not getting any financial return. It's goodwill.
But I think that's an important question. If we're going to be going out to the residents and the taxpayers to say, hey, what are you willing to fund? We should ask, what's the priority? Would you rather fund someone who maybe coordinates recreation and other programs in the city, or giving money to nonprofits that service a portion of the residents of the city?
All of these have been put in this year's budget, correct?
They're currently budgeted, but we don't have to spend something just because it's in the budget. So if the council's direction is, let's hold off until we are stable in the general fund, we can keep that down. Once again, these are line by line. We like the program, but right now let's go bare bones and we'll zero that out until we have a sustainable budget. And as soon as we start getting a rainy day fund, we can start implementing some of these again. Yeah. Could be one route, or could be, hey, let's keep our current funding level. And when we go out to ask money from the community, that's going to be part of the equation that we're going to have to cover that $50,000, $60,000 right there to make sure that is also being considered in the ask.
And funding for the Watts House comes out of the Public Works Department, right? Okay.
Well, it's its own, yeah.
Depending on what is being done. I mean, the most recent one, the HVAC came out of the general fund. So we've sent money over there to fix that because it's a facility, it's not Public Works specific facility. So if it was fixing maybe their water sewer, it just depends on what we're working on at the Watts House.
And to me, that is somewhat of an investment. So if you put an HVAC in, you sell it, you get that money back. I mean,
right. So most stuff at the Watts House would come out of the general fund if we have to fund it because it's not associated with utility.
you go over the emergency management, $10,000, 9845.
You want to take that one?
Yeah, just real quick on the, so is the current, where we stand with the CEP and the senior center? Is it a zero this year, next year until we get balance? I mean, what is the temperament on that from the council?
Do we have 42, or you're saying that's their budget for each, what year are we talking here?
We're in the year that we have $42,000 for.
And it's usually, that one's in May, are we far enough out that people aren't just ready to do it tomorrow? I mean, we give them time to make other plans if we fund a specific program, or.
And the real question is this a program that we want to continue doing? Is that where we want to put our money? Because we're going to have to ask for money, or is it not?
I'd like to be able to show some
because
cuts.
we do have the budget now. We do have enough money next year and the year after that we can fund these things, but it's at the risk of our deficit being bigger and our rainy day funds shrinking.
Well, that's me personally instead of getting rid of it altogether, we lower it for a year with the idea that it may go away next year. Just to kind of lower it, lessen the blow.
Well, I think we kind of had a revelation here talking through this. Do we want to talk a little bit further about, or do a little bit more digging on what Kim brought up with having a new FTE that we could, because I feel like we should show something for cutting this. And if we can show something pretty positive and significant for the community, I think that'd be a major win.
Okay.
And then if we can also task that position, if it ends up being feasible, if we can also task that position with volunteer coordination too,
right?
That would be huge.
We could.
Yeah.
So I just want to, is the majority of council wanting more information on that? Is that something that we should explore further, or what's the thoughts?
I want input from the community, like Kim was saying, about what they want.
Okay.
When is our town hall? When would we?
March or April,
March, April, and then the CEP is
May.
May. So I think we would need to probably be locked into supporting it this year if we're gonna wait till the town hall to get feedback.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in favor of reducing it somewhat. Like, I don't think it needs to be this big, but I wouldn't want to cut it out completely because people have plans. I don't know what exactly CEP is used for, but it sounds like senior center is used to getting money for 30 years or whatever. So I wouldn't want to.
Well, I don't know if it is. We've probably done it for the last 4 or 5 years, maybe.
Yeah, I'll have to look.
Well, so Marty, you just said you don't know what they're used for. Let's talk about that real quick, because I'm sure it'll change your mind. So CEP, first of all, there's no guarantee that anybody's getting anything. So anybody that's planning on getting money from that is probably not a good planner. So there's that piece. And then senior center, traditionally, that's with the capital improvement projects, like roof siding, things like that. And they have accomplished, correct me if I'm wrong, but they've accomplished all those things using these monies, or partial monies that we have given.
HVAC system went in. We did pay for them to get some legal advice through Portland State, help them build a board and learn how to run a meeting. A lot of their problems with the DOJ and stuff had to do with handling money or running a meeting. And so we helped them get some training in that. And then the rest, we never did tell them what the money could be used for. So they use it for like siding on the portico or paint or an HVAC. But they got in issues and lost bingo, lost food. I mean, they lost a lot of revenue generating things, which are back. They feed at least 2 or 3 days a week. They've got bingo a couple days a week. They've got a couple other things that are raising money, quilt sales. I mean, they do have a good budget going now and can pay for their own things. And so that is one I'd be willing to look at.
Yeah, I don't think we maybe make the decision tonight. I don't think we have enough information to understand the impacts. I think we should revisit kind of what was the distribution of funds for the community enhancement program. We had so many people apply that we only gave out a portion of an award to each of them. So I don't think anyone really got the full funded amount that was requested.
About 5 did.
5 did,
Yeah.
okay.
I think CP went back to about 2013 is when it started. Susan? But that is a program for nonprofits that deal here in Scappoose, and they apply in May, and we've set aside an amount, $42,000, and we all look at all these nonprofits and we award them up to $5,000 potentially, and we give out. United Way got $1,500 for a program. Grant Watts parent organization got money for something. Little League got money for something in the past years. All these nonprofits asked for some money. And some were very small asks, some were 5,000. So it varies. And we can really look at that program all together and adjust it to save. I mean, you could save $20,000 there pretty easily. It's just the nonprofits will get less.
Yeah, and if they're getting less, you got to think too, like what is the effort to send their executive director here for a meeting and fill out the application and go through all of that for 1,500 or 2,000? It becomes less of a return on investment for their time as well.
Whereas like a Dolly Parton Imagination books, they wanted $1,500 to pay for all their books. That's great. The Amani Center, some of these larger groups, the $1 million ask and the 1,500 isn't maybe worth them filling out an application for.
The library.
Right, it could be just down to these bigger groups that the city says, you have enough funding elsewhere. It's such a small ask that we focus it just on maybe Scappoose small.
Yeah, changing the
profits.
criteria maybe, right?
Yeah, you could say you have to be based in Scappoose, not just do work in Scappoose. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
The senior center definitely probably shouldn't be qualified if they're giving them money separately, if they're getting both monies for that.
Right, I'll have to double check. I don't know if they actually took it. I don't know if we gave them 20,000 last year, just in our budget, but I think they went through the CEP instead. So that was the funds we gave them. I'll double check on that, but that was, I read flag something, it was like, oh, I thought we just automatically gave it to them, but they may be fine without ours. I don't think they follow up with it if we didn't give it to them, so. But I'll double check on that one. That's not.
And if, I would love to go find another way to help them, market them somehow, help them with something, do a program together. But if we aren't giving funds, I do want to be a part of it and help them.
Well, and part of that, so in Stanfield, our recreation library director, actually served on their board on the senior center, and they help come up with new programming and different things to earn more money. And that's how, once again, we could provide an actual FTE if we went towards a parks person that can partner with something like that and help them. That's also helping us because it was a joint activity that we put together. So both entities made something off of it.
Or like bring community programming to the community center.
Right.
And have that space rented out.
Yeah,
for
we're
that
using it
free.
for that
Yeah.
purpose. We're paying for
And
it.
speaking of that, so I'm thinking back to the festival where we're handing out all this basically crap. So that's hard to. I had several citizens saying, "What are you spending money on this crap at these booths for?" When because we're citizens are paying for it. And so I said, "Well, I really don't have a good answer for that."
Hey,
They're
Daniel,
conversation
they
pieces.
love
Are
that.
you about the cute traffic?
They love, yeah. they-
Get people to
Traffic cones aren't solving our general fund.
Everything has a phone number on it, so then they can give them a call or email. This Public Works Parks Department person we're talking about at 1.4 and they're looking for 2, that's not part of the recreation side.
Correct. That is a parks maintenance person. Yeah.
So before we get into
Yeah.
those FTEs, just the last one on here. So we'll look into the CEP and look at which ones are just community centric and see if there's any way to pare that back and then bring that back to the council. NJ will look at that. Same thing with the senior center. We'll pursue looking at, I think bring the recreation programming has always been on my goal anyways. So I'm glad to hear there's even more support for that. And putting that into this would be really helpful to speed that up as opposed to my slower route, which was using our current staff, which is great, way to go. I'm used to doing that, but if there is an appetite, I would love to add that to our funding strategy. The last small item on here is that emergency management 9,000. So right now that's for the Homeland Security, HSE. I don't remember the term, but yeah, Homeland Security. So basically this is the county's home emergency management. They're putting together, they're supposed to put together a plan that's around, Chief goes, Chief, do you want to speak on it? I don't know.
Yeah, so it's with Columbia County Emergency Management. I actually have a meeting tomorrow. I'll be attending, and they help develop plans and also training that can incorporate the city of Scappoose as well. So I've been in contact with them to help us develop our emergency plans of operation here too as well. One of the grants I apply through, just for our block camera systems, coming through one of the grants through them for, I believe it's counterterrorism. So, and they have a board just like most other committees, and they do require requesting that every contributing city provide some type of fund to help sustain their operations.
And the money is to go towards their deliverable, which is a document they put together, or they're supposed to put together regularly for emergency preparedness, specifically in their one area. And so it's not paying for the emergency manager, but there has been a lot of discussion and issues with their contract. Cities and fire, they're going through this whole thing about whether it's even worth paying for if we're getting anything or if they're using the money appropriately. So,
And that's an annual fee,
yeah,
annual deliverable. They're updated every
Well,
year.
that's the thing is I don't think we're getting, I've seen that report come across a few times now from a few different emergency management directors at the county. And they're always extremely underwhelming, like copy and paste style. Would that money be, because I know that Councilor Holmes and our chief is working on something that relates to emergency management. Would that money be better used inside the city of Scappoose, working out something that actually is comprehensive and detailed on what the city of Scappoose wants?
right. The county manager is they're still gonna provide emergency services. They're still contractually, this is specific for their deliverable, and I can get more information as it gets closer. I don't know if the council had any specific opinion or had heard anything about this, if the project had any history with that. So I can get you more information with that, and maybe just hold off not paying that until we have a good contract that we're like, hey, there's a specific deliverable we're gonna get. I don't think we've been paying it. It's just been in our budget every year because we don't have a repetitive contract, but I can double check that. If you're okay, if we are paying it, to stop paying it until we have something, I would recommend that.
Well, if we continue to pay that, I would like to see defined deliverables of what we're getting. Otherwise, I'd like to pull it in-house and then
Right.
attach our plan to their plan so that we can focus on, they have everybody to look at, the entire county, all the other cities. If we can, who else better to create an emergency plan and focus on the city of Scappoose than the people that serve the city of Scappoose, right? That's the way that I think it should be for, I mean, obviously there's some baseline things that we need to agree on, that's fine. But I think that we should develop, my opinion is we should be developing our own plan or have a very heavy contribution to that plan. And they should be attaching it to an overall county plan.
All right, moving now to the final page, page 40. So these aren't dollar values, but again, we're talking level of service. So the kind of service we want to provide as a city. The first is sworn FTEs of police officers. So currently we have 12 staff. This would provide 24-hour coverage when they're all out, service, but some are in the academy and being hired in background checks and things like that. Spoke with Chief Llewellyn. If we went up to 14 FTE, this would add a full-time detective and a school resource officer. And then if we went up to 16 FTE, in addition to those two with 14, it would add 2 corporal positions that allow for more leadership growth within the department. I don't know if you want to add anything about that.
Yes, so just going back to that, our population right now is a little bit over 8,000. If you shoot probably every 1,000 have at least 2 patrol officers, they're probably we're close to being there. And main thing I'm trying to do with this, we have that, is just get the 24-hour coverage, hopefully sometime in 2027, which is my goal, which is something I think that the city wants, and just have more people actually in service. And also for me, it's just thinking about our department as a whole, how to keep people, good employees that come into our police department, give them growth opportunities, and also providing those additional specialty skills such as a detective, which our city definitely needs, I think, in my personal opinion. So I'm willing to answer any questions you have about that. And like I said, we're not fully staffed right now at this time. We have 10 commissioned officers, sworn officers, with 2 going to backgrounds at this time. So.
But on the school resource officer, is there a way to, get a 0.8 FTE and school pay the other 0.2 or 0.6 and 0.4?
So I had a conversation earlier this year, I believe, with the superintendent about that. And I know the school, I believe they were having some.
They're cutting back.
Yeah, so that was part of that. Because I believe our previous SRO position was funded by having part of that from the school district. That was before my time here, but my understanding. So that's something I like to do. But if we had the funding for it, we can fully develop that and have them merge inside of schools, which I know is something that's desired by everybody, I think.
Yeah, typically an SRO would be funded by the school because it's for their benefit as much as our benefit. Put some context for the staffing levels, and we mentioned this before. FBI, they provide a report statistics of what the average staffing level for cities per 1,000 per capita. They're usually, I don't remember the exact numbers, but like 2.3 or 2.4 sworn officers per 1,000 people. That put us about 19 to 20 people if we were national average. Oregon average is 1.8, which puts us at
16, 15.
yeah, somewhere around the 16. So that would be more in line with what the Oregon average would be. As you can see, our FT is less than the Oregon average. And we did just as a comparison, we looked at Sandy's from when they were the same size as us. They were more closer to 14 FTE back then for sworn officers, and much, they're probably bigger than now. I haven't looked at their current one, but so our current 12 is statistically understaffed for a city our size, and we are a growing community. Even without the school resource officer and detective, that's just looking at staffing levels with averages or other cities, we would be understaffed. Chief's response, just from his own perspective of he's running the department, agreed with more that Oregon average. I'd like to get closer to that 16 FTE. But there is a cost associated with that. That would be something we'd want to find out from the community as well, because I had mentioned before, each FTE is about
160.
160. Yeah, I said 150, 160. I didn't have to check with Carol to verify the exacts, but it's somewhere around there, just to keep numbers easy. Every FTE we add, that's more budget we'd have to cover.
What's the vehicle? What's equipment?
We have the vehicle already budgeted in there for 1 per year. We have 10 have 10 vehicles, so life cycle 10 years is pretty long for police, but we've been doing that. So that's kind of, we rotate one new vehicle a year.
Need another vehicle.
Right.
Or another 2 officers.
Yes, we rotate through or switch. Right now, we have enough vehicles for officers to take them home. The oldest one in the fleet being operated is pretty much mine, which I don't have a problem with, so.
And this takes into consideration still all these averages, still county and state still helping out as well.
Right.
I mean, all of these have a county officer,
Right.
state somewhere.
Those are actual city sworn, and that doesn't take into account the non-sworn officers. So for example, going back to the Sandy example, back in 10 years ago, whenever that date was, they had more non-sworn officers than we currently have as well, which right now we have Timmy Sue doubles over as a court clerk, and her other job, we have the
Evidence.
evidence tense and the code compliance. So that's not even in this ask. I asked Chief if he felt needed any more of the administrative, but we're fine where we're at. So there's always stats, there's national stats, but it's always good to look in local up and say, well, what do we actually need? He didn't feel we needed anything more. So we left that off. So really the question from a perspective from the council, and yes, we can definitely go out to the community and ask more, but to get an idea of where you're more wanting us staffed for those police and where we want to go with that.
Can I get a clarification? This 12 is police officers sworn in?
Yes.
Yes.
Including the
Okay,
chief.
another thing is I heard a couple of things. I heard that the current 12 that we have, they're all out. I know that there's some having their background check and they're going through academy. If we had 12 officers right now that we do have, right? Correct?
Yes, we don't, I just want to clarify though, that we only have 10 sworn officers right now.
Okay, and then the other 2 is going to take to 2027 to bring on board fully or have the 12? I'm not.
So the other 2 that we have right now are in academy. They'll be there, they'll graduate in late January. Then after that, they still have months to go through their field training.
Does that include the 10? Or are you
No,
including?
no,
between the
those
10?
those 2 are in the 10, and then we have 2 positions that are in background.
Yes.
They haven't been,
If
haven't been
they
hired
step
yet.
through.
We basically have 8 officers on the road.
Right.
Right.
2 in training, let's say, and then 2 more in back.
And that
Right.
includes 3 sergeants and a chief, yours truly right now with
I
that.
personally, I mean, that's great. We've never been there, you know, where we're gonna be. I'd like to see how that works before we increase too much. But I do think we are growing and we can have more activity, but I'd like to get our group up and running first and see how it goes, see if we need that extra detective.
Mr. Mayor, first I'd like to make a motion that we extend the meeting past 9 PM.
Motion to extend the meeting past 9 PM. Any second? Second by Councilor Santiago. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
So Chris, I've got a question. So how much do we need 24/7 in Scappoose?
If you're talking about this, if you're talking about just one officer not having an SPD backup officer going through there, we can proceed with 68. You know, I would like to really be able to have that full allotment of 12 officers altogether.
Right, but so then it leads into the next part of the question. I agree with you. I'd like to see a detective here in
Yes.
Scappoose. And so if we had a target of let's say 14, and then we didn't necessarily, we had a rotating 24/7 where it wasn't always covered, where you could maybe save an FTE. Could we fashion something like that would be effective for coverage?
Just for clarification, saying we have 14 FTE positions sworn?
Yeah.
I think we could. The way I look at it right now, though, is just one having, if we had our full 6 that are out by himself, granted, got to take in conversation too, just about people taking their vacation, also taking training opportunities that will take away from that. So you want to have that double coverage. We can try a lot of things through, but there'll be officers working from Sunday to Wednesday, with 3 different shifts that will have that 24-hour coverage.
Yeah, but personally, I'd like to see a SRO and a detective. But if we don't necessarily need a 24/7 coverage, if there's just nothing going on.
I get you're saying, then
Yeah.
having that, yes, that's something we could fashion too. But it will come up to really what the council wants to as well. My goal is still to try to push that.
Anyway, so there's some leeway there.
Right.
So if you get to 12, then you decide the coverage we have right now with help and one on or on call is working and there's really no need. Can you shift one of them to work towards being a detective and one towards an SRO and?
Right, it's a possibility with that. I think we possibly could go that route to a degree. I still think it would be great to have additional backup for officers for particular times that we have out there. Especially when we have newer guys when they're working, let's say 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, even though our car load is generally less, you do have some individuals that might use the opportunity to commit crime from outside of the city to take the different things.
Chief, can I walk through this with you a little bit? I kind of want to establish some framework in kind of a systematic way here. So, okay, so going back to what we were trying to accomplish months ago when we were looking at potentially contracting with the county and what we would get out of that for the money, the objective was 2 on at all times, 24/7 coverage. So if we have, I'm assuming, and I'm also asking you, 12 FTE sworn police officers, would that give us 2 on at all times, assuming nobody's on leave?
That way I have to include myself as being a potential cover or additional officer too as well, and also our sergeants and supervisors.
Okay.
So that would not be ideal. And then I'll have to adjust my shift and our shifts from working, generally speaking, a Sunday to a Wednesday shift to have those two.
Okay, and some of the consideration that we had brought up previously was that having a backup officer for officer safety reasons also contributes to retention, officer safety, and some other considerations too. So I think that's why previously we had always really wanted to strive for having 2 on at all times. But then that gets to the question, so would 14 sworn police officers, assuming none are on leave, would that give us 24-hour coverage with 2 on at all times?
We could still work through that, I believe so. I've looked at the numbers particularly.
Okay, so now I'm going to get to the reality. The reality is that there is always at least one person on leave, whether it be for whatever reason. There's always somebody in training. So just because you have a schedule that looks like there's going to be 2 on 24/7, the reality is that's never going to happen unless you add and hire extra positions. So getting to that scenario and that consideration, or would you build a budget for mandatory or not mandatory overtime, but a budget for overtime where you could always ensure that there's at least 2 on the occasional? I mean, what's more likely to happen? Because the more staff you have, the more likelihood you have to have people off too.
Right. I think when it comes down to it, I don't know if we would have the capability to maintain a mandatory 2 on with, let's say, 14 officers from there.
Could you do it with 16, you think?
I think there'll be, increase it. But like you said, there's just a whole bunch of different variables, but at least having one person on always, I think we'd be able to accomplish that. We had at least 16 officers there.
I guess what I'm getting at is
When you're talking 2 on, is that without sergeants and without the chief, or does that include at least one sergeant and a police officer? I just want to clarify where.
I don't care if they have chevrons on their sleeves or not.
Okay.
It's 2 people on so that there's the safety issue, because that's what most police officers, you're not going to get a police officer that goes into a DV call, domestic violence call, because those are the dangerousest calls that law enforcement, that's where most police officers get killed statistically. So they're going to wait for backup. So that means that your cover is either coming from OSP, county, or St. Helens. So we don't necessarily do our community justice by not having 2 on at all times, because in those very violent situations, you still have them waiting for cover. And then you create the situation where they don't have backup for officer initiated activity either close by. So the only reason I'm bringing this up is because if we're going to spend time on this and we're going to go ask and beg the public for money, we better be able to tell a story and how this is going to benefit everybody. Let's not just do it because it adds staffing. And I mean, we need to think all the way through this. Of course, we have to be able to afford it. I do understand that. But I do think that our community is supportive of police, and being able to explain these things and these considerations, I think are key.
The SRO, the school district here serves a far larger geography than just the city of Scappoose.
Correct.
So that doesn't make sense to me for the city to fund that whole position.
Well, for the SRO position, it was half for the school district. Because I know your school's also in Warren, also parts of Salvi Island. I understand that's part of Scappoose School District as well. I think it'd be better justified if they were to put half of that salary for that full-time employee. That'll make it whole and justify the officers going to there too as well.
The other thing that you have too is that you have to remember that your SRO is there for seasonal during school. And so what a scenario could be, and I'm sure the chief has already thought of this, is that will the school cover that time that school's in session, and then the city covers, because in summertime your call volume goes up too. So that's an extra officer you get to add to your patrol schedule as well, potentially.
Right, and that's how we did it for the SRI before. We look at what is the actual cost for the school side compared to what the city's getting, and we bill school for their portion.
And their benefit by the position too, SRO counselor too, is we have a lot of calls and child abuse investigations that are generated from the school too as well. So that will also help alleviate a little bit more with being ingrained inside of schools with the with patrol level officers too. Help to take it over the plate, I think.
So I mean, it sounds like we might need some more information from the community, or do you feel like you have enough information from the community to say we need 2 on 24-hour service? Is that a direction from the council that is really that goal we want to go towards, or do we need to get additional feed? I mean, I wasn't here when you guys went through everything with the community a couple of years ago, but do you have enough information for that? Is that for sure what the need is with the 24-hour service? Because we can have the 2 on, not for 24-hour service, kind of like we've been doing.
I would like a matrix showing or what Rubik, so I'm showing what all of this would cost. You know, how many on, 2 on at all times, we need this many people, and a detective would cost this. So we could then go to the people and say, okay, this is what it's going to cost, and just get an idea, sense of what they think, and educate them on what it really means so they understand. And we're going to raise their rates on something, and we got to be able to show them where it's going and why.
The correlation.
Yeah.
Well, and if I'm understanding this correctly, I mean, just for us to get to 12 FTE, we are already starting to eat into the general fund to fund that. So to make the police department sustainable at 12, we are going to need to ask for some sort of safety fee. So if we're going out, I would say if we're looking long-term, at a minimum, we put the base to fund 14 and then take it to the community and say, if you wanted to fund 16, this is what you get for the 16. But I would say for all the work that we've done to try to build the department and capitalize on the support that the community has for the police, I don't think we would want to go less than 14.
Question, Chief,
Yes.
what's the overtime? Is that high, or is there any overtime?
So yes, there's overtime to generate sometimes for training, or we have special missions like retail theft and stuff like that. The biggest, I guess you could say, for having officers on call, it's going to be from that period during the nighttime, that 4-hour block, which is reoccurring to have officers standing by on call.
So annually, what is that amount of
I
the
can get that to
overtime?
you. I don't know exactly off the top of my head now.
So would that be overtime that would be equal to a FTE?
I would say probably close to it for that on call and other different things too as well. So maybe a little bit less, but I'll have to get you information for you, which I can do.
And that money and that overtime is already in the budget.
Yeah, so I have that a lot in our budget for overtime. And that also includes if officers go over there a lot of 10 hours or things such that nature too, which is governed by the CBA or the collective bargaining agreement for our department.
The other thing I think we need to look at when we look at, creating additional positions is, that we still have our recurring problem and our historical problem that we are our wages. And we also need to consider long-term, are we going to be able to keep up with competitive wages too? Because as I'm preaching the choir here, but every time we hire qualified police officers, they come in for training, they get their training here, and then they lateral out. And that's not a benefit to the community. We lose the relationships that they've established with the community. We lose $100,000 to $200,000 in training costs as well. So any plan that comes forward as well to fund new positions also needs to take into consideration the wages that we're paying, and especially if we're projecting 5 to 10 years out, because we don't get anywhere if we're funding new positions, but they're leaving right away. That is, we are paying for another bigger agency's training, basically, is what we're doing.
And we don't have anything in their contract that says if they leave within a year, they have to pay back their training or the other agency picks up.
There is a state requirement. If they're under 3 years, the agency that picks them up has to pay some of that back.
And like caveat, I think you're 100% right, Councilman President Miller. But I also do think that having these special positions and also our training budget's pretty healthy thanks to the council. Gives all officers opportunity to branch out and do those other things too that you can't find in you might find in a bigger department too. But obviously wages and more money is always something that we're going to be chasing no matter what, I think.
Is a full-time detective also on the street working as a regular officer?
So the way I envision that, it'll be a plain clothes and it'll take all our special investigations. A couple things we publicize, such as child abuse cases. Like those detailed, really in-depth and investigations that even though right now they're spread between our patrol officers, having a specialized skill set really helps to have a person be on point. So, and generally speaking, most police departments, they don't, in my experience, you know, the detective is only going to work patrol if he or she is short staffing and they have to cover a shift.
But with them taking on those cases, it frees up our patrol officers to spend more time patrolling. Right. So it does
But
still
if a
provide
patrol officer's
additional.
all by himself and gets a domestic call and they're only one, that detective could be the second.
I would say yes, no, in our department. I do that. Our sergeants do that, just what we do as law enforcement. So I don't think that'll be an issue. We need that.
Do you need more from us on that one?
No,
I think
I think we have good direction. I think a lot of this too is going to come back to when we do our public outreach, including some of these questions we're going over tonight of the appropriate level of service for these different types of things.
I hear a few people and they say that one thing, but it'd be good to hear a lot of people hear what they're really up to.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we've been able to save a lot of money because we've been so shorthanded the last couple of years, you know, and we were able to save up some of this. But now that we're at full coverage type in our budget, there won't be a lot of extra, especially if we're getting laterals and higher paid officers, which is a good thing.
Yeah. All right. And then the last item is Parks Department. So we currently have 1.4 FTEs devoted to parks maintenance. So this is not the recreation position we were discussing earlier. Right now, operationally, that's one person who is a parks maintenance specialist, and then other people that fill in from other public works sub-departments like utility workers and things like that, who cover in the busier seasons like the summer and fill out that 0.4. I wish Dave were still here, but Dave has recommended that we do go up to 2.0 FTE and just have 2 full-time dedicated parks maintenance staff. And what this would do in addition, obviously, to improving the quality of service there, is it would allow people in the Public Works Department to do their jobs in other respects, whether it be wastewater, water, streets, storm, all those other services.
Is there also a huge, is there a gap of a wage per hour for someone that works in the wastewater utility and then someone that works in the Parks and Rec? So what I'm saying is someone like an employee doing a work that someone else can be doing on a lower rate.
Mm-hmm. Right. Our utilities wage scale is higher than our parks wage scale.
Right.
So it is more expensive to have our utility workers go and fill in than to have somebody else just do it.
So you kind of would be saving money.
I would like to see that. Again, if we're asking for funding, if we're going after a fee, I mean, we want to, it's only for a 0.6. So I don't know, how would you expect to fund that out of the general fund?
General fund, yeah.
And then, because of a fee, you want to probably just to say safety fee instead of safety fee / parks fee.
You could do both.
Yeah.
You could have them separated so they're specific. This is what we're trying to cover for the police. Here's what we're trying to cover for parks. It could be a parks and recreation fee. St. Helens did theirs as a recreation fee to hire an FTE. So that is something they did at one point. They actually did that to get it going. I talked to John. Remember, he said they got it going and then they rescinded the fee later after they got their funding, because as you do programming, it brings in its own funding as well. You have more and more programming going. So once it's sustainable, they were able to reduce some of that. it is a route to go for
Yeah,
sure.
I do think we're gonna have more park maintenance, as we build that park and have some others that we're working on. So there's gonna be, I think, quite a bit of more maintenance needed. And
Right, that's the other thing.
Is that a high enough estimate? Like if we're successful getting some more land and, doing something up at Vista and we've got Grabhorn
Mhm.
under development, is 2 enough?
I asked the same question. I don't think it is. Dave is very conservative when he asks for stuff, but that is where he wanted to start, and that's what he requested from his side. So I went with that. But I do think that still includes some utility work coming over.
Right.
Where does that get to another third FTE? Maybe it's just we're not quite there yet, but it's something we have to look at in the future.
Is he aware of how long it will take to even get this?
Yeah, no, he knows.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, and right now, I mean, the work's getting done. This goes back to all of this is kind of a 10-year conversation, looking at the future and our future acquisitions and what we will need to be doing then.
that's where I would look to artificial turf park, and then a lot less maintenance.
Isn't there like a program with youth that we can bring in to, that someone that does want to work for the city in the future? And like a youth,
Youth council service projects. Yeah.
That's a good idea, actually.
Senior project.
and so that can help, the parks and the parks
Yeah.
department.
Rules been expanded.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Our
I have a
youth just
lot of
need
things
more
to do,
involved.
Tyler.
Yeah, we're expanding your role over here.
Summer intern.
So you're now a volunteer service provider, parks service provider,
Happy Valley liaison.
all volunteering.
Summer interns would be great.
So as we look at these fees, will we be looking at, okay, if we were to say implement the parks at 2 FTE?
Yeah.
The fee would be this, likely in 3 years, we'd need to increase it to match this. So we would build in kind of a progressive forecast.
Right. Yeah, and likely, usually when you put those fees in, it's just like our utilities where you want to have it grow by CPI because our costs go every single year. And as long as you keep it regular, hopefully you wouldn't have to do any big increases. You're just kind of increasing it with our costs and then adding in any development that comes in and tax base. Hopefully it helps cover that enough to where we don't have to do anything other than just regular cost of living adjustments every year. Right.
For transparency purposes, I would love to have that safety and park difference.
Yeah,
broken
that'd be the
down.
intent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and those dollars would, go to what they say they're funding,
Okay.
And then this sort of becomes to a political question for you all to consider is like when people open their city bill, which is what I would encourage us to all start calling it over the water bill. When people open their city bill, what do you want them to see? And what story have we told in terms of the services that we're, both performing really well right now, but also looking to add in the future with responsibly using these resources. So in closing our discussion tonight, we'll take a lot of these notes. We might have a follow-up on the level of service before we get into the revenue building side, but gonna, start putting in numbers and, seeing where we are in terms of the cost of running the general fund.
Perfect. Thank you.
So you raise a really good point about what we're calling the city bill. Are you all planning to change the name of the bill and what's on the envelope? And is it going to be the utility bill? Maybe we do need to start changing some of the words we're using.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. We could definitely do that.
One thing I do want to remind all counselors about too is that if we do get into the asking the public for, whether it be a public safety fee or a levy situation too, it will be us out in the community that has to carry this, not
Correct.
city staff. It's not allowed by law. So as we have these conversations, make sure y'all are asking questions and getting the questions you want answered and voicing your opinion, because it is us that has to put our name behind this effort at some point.
And I'll feel much better if I feel that a lot of citizens are behind me as well and have given me that information. So,
Correct.
okay.
Yeah, Tyler's right. We can give you information. We can gather and facilitate and say it's gonna cost this much to do this, but then it's up to you all to sell it.
Sell it or live with it. I mean, when you do a public safety fee, it's an ordinance, so you have people who can talk to you about it.
Yeah.
It's not as much like the
Public
local
hearings
option
and all
levy.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
On to the calendar. Right. EDC meeting on November 20th at noon. Thanksgiving offices closed on November 27th and 28th. We canceled the December 1 council meeting. Planning Commission scheduled for 7 p.m. on December 11th. Council work session on December 15th at 6 p.m. followed by a council meeting at 7 p.m. EDC meeting is scheduled for the 18th December at noon. City offices will be closed December 24th and 25th and January 1st following. Okay, City Manager Ben Bergner. Any update?
For the sake of time, just any questions about anything? Okay, I'll just be short today then. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to share the, I know that you told me, but you attended the strategic planning LOC session today.
I did. Yeah, I mean, it was a great session. It was put well together for somebody who's maybe hasn't gone through that process, but it mirrored a lot of what we did anyways, talking about going for that visionary and connecting the three dots, getting priorities or objectives. Yeah, I mean, it's always good to acknowledge that we're doing it pretty close to the same way and a good refresher, but yeah.
Did you go to the city meeting as well?
City County dinner, yes.
Yeah.
And no, the other one by the coast.
Oh, the small cities meeting?
Yep.
Yeah, it was a legislative update. They talked a lot about some upcoming things for the small session. One of the things they mentioned that they spent a good amount of time on is the houseless or homeless issues in the states. We talked about Pendleton's lawsuit that they're going through. I brought that up, asking a question if there's any movement, if they're going to change the state ORS. I think they mentioned OBI was looking at putting it to the voters. They were upset with the state statute and they didn't move on this last legislative session. So they were going to put it to the voters, but it sounds like they might bring it back in short session to do something to appease that so it doesn't go to the voters. Everything else was a legislative update that we already went through when they came to our county. Nothing huge beyond that. If there is something I remember, I'll send it out, but I think that was kind of the biggest. What are they kind of looking to bring towards? And they talked about the gas tax. And well, they talked about the transit, but just about the current gas tax and what the efforts are that some people are trying to get that reworked as well. So that was most of the time where they talked on those two items.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Llewellyn.
Yes, last week we had the honor to participate and help provide a service for a Columbia County resident who was a Washington County deputy who passed away. That was cut at the Scappoose High School. Just want to thank the high school for their assistance for making that a reality, making it happen too as well. In regards to hiring, we still got 2 officers talked to recently who are down in the academy. Hopefully get them out here in end of January, start their process too as well. And just for some public comment, if you need any documentations, please just let me know. I was reported to the Federal Bureau of Investigation to be transparent by a public commenter and had a good conversation about everything and willing to assist with anything they have, but they were able to see what the allocations were. So with that being said, honesty is on my side. So if you have any questions, I have no problem finding documentation. So attending any questions, that's all I have for today.
Great. I'm sure I'll think of one in a minute. Student rep, Tyler Ferreira.
Hello. As I mentioned earlier, on Wednesday, 6 p.m., I'm going to be going to Happy Valley City Hall and attending their youth town hall. And made those connections through LOC a couple weeks ago. And my goal to what I want to get out of that is kind of how they're reaching their schools or what kind of techniques they're using to get more people because that's my goal right now. Sometime within the next month, probably a couple of weeks when December starts, I'm going to be putting together a proposal or like an interest form. Our presentation to present in front of the school, kind of explaining what we would do with the YAC. When I talked with Hillsborough, a big thing that they said was being able to go to, they are able to, through the grant that the city provide or the state provides, go to LOC, or not LOC, the one in Washington, D.C., as well as doing trips to the one wherever it is next year, LOC, and also the state capitol. And so having those kind of opportunities to get involved with government is kind of what drew people in, and among other things. So I'm just going to try and pitch that and get a gauge of general interest within the school by December. And then Joel was talking about, what was it, the retreat by then, for trying to get a group of people together and seeing if we have enough people to move forward with actually creating a youth advisory council. And if we can set up a time to meet with me, Joel, and Jay to talk about what that might look like in the future. So, yep.
Thank you. Councilor Ryuda.
It was my great pleasure over the past few weeks to see just how this community came together in the name of trying to carry those members of our community who were affected by the interruption of the SNAP program. And what I saw truly reminded me of just why life in a small town, and particularly Scappoose, was so to be desired. It brought out the best in a lot of people. And if I may, and I hope I'm allowed to do this, am I allowed to actually mention the name of a local business? Good, right. Two that particularly came to mind that I would like to hold up, and there are many more who participated in similar activities, but these two particularly came to my attention. One is a single owner operator business, Gordon and Hill Bakery, operates out of a little trailer at the food carts. She not only lowered her prices in order to get more people to buy and donate additional funds, she was putting up fresh baked bread for free, no questions asked, to anybody who needed it, and allowing people to pay forward for the donation of bread to the local food bank. Last week, she donated 57 loaves of fresh baked bread to the local food bank. She operates this entire operation by herself. Also, Ixtapa not only was offering free meals to people who were affected by the cuts in SNAP benefits, but they also had a very public table where members of the community were encouraged to donate not only non-perishable food items, but hygiene items, which are often very much overlooked in such drives. These are only two examples of untold that also took place in our community. And I think that we can all be proud to live in such a community when in times of such need, the community stands up and rallies round. And I was just absolutely as proud as could be.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I saw on Facebook a bunch, even our little food park pantry over here at the Watts House was completely full, and it's amazing to see how these small communities step up.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate it. Councilor Marquis.
Yeah, on that same tip, I just wanted to remind everybody that that these benefits are going to stay disrupted probably for a while as the federal government comes back online, and with the holidays coming up, if there's any opportunities to volunteer or to give or to serve, especially Thanksgiving's right around the corner, just share opportunities if they come across your desk. I don't know that there is anything that's usual in Scappoose, like somewhere for people to come and get a Thanksgiving meal. I asked the priest at the Catholic Church, he didn't know of one. He said there used to be one a long time ago. Perhaps there's something in St. Helens that is in that same spirit. But also on Tuesday, myself and the mayor and Councilor Holmes showed up at the wind phone dedication at Veterans Park. And it was a short, sweet little dedication of an old fashioned phone that you can go and speak into the wind and get up whatever you need to off your chest. And also just wanted to say that the high school dance team took first place in Palm in the first competition in Clackamas on Saturday. They beat their dreaded rivals Pendleton. Palmer team.
Great.
Yeah. On you talking about different opportunities to donate. I know at the high school right now we're doing the Thanksgiving baskets. I don't know if you've been notified about that through your kids, but that is a very, if you did want to donate some way, I know that's definitely an option. And anyone who has kids or in the school district.
Thank you. Councilor Haugen.
Two quick things. One, I would like to inaugurate in January recognition of the Rotary Student of the Month from the high school. And it'd just be a cut and paste from the school board meeting, put it in our water bills. I think it's just a way of just reinforcing the recognition of excellence. So I think Susan and Ben are on board with that. Unless there's any objection, we'll start that in January, and we'll be using November's Rotary Student of the Month because of the delay. So we have to get the stuff in by the 5th of the month, and so we'll have a 2-month delay for the school board meeting the second Monday, and they announce it then. So just cut and paste for the 2-month succession. Anyway, if there's no objection to that, I think we should inaugurate that in January.
Basically, just a picture recognizing them.
Well, yeah, and then there's a little story too, what their aspirations are and so forth. It's a nice little write-up that they recognize at the school board meeting. So I think it's a cool way of reinforcing that, the whole notion of excellence in our community. So, and the second thing, we talked a little while back about the civilian stewardship pledge. And Patty Mulvihill is going to be pitching this at the national conference in February. And I would love to have a unanimous pledge here, even though we're all in that realm. There's no one that's outside this realm. But to have this, we could be the model, kind of the poster child for the civility and stewardship pledge. And hopefully that'll translate to the community. So I have the pledge copies with me, and if you'd do that, I'll do all the work. Susan wants to do anything.
Is this the one that Patty's taking the national level?
So, yeah, something like that. I can't. I'm not sure this is the same exact language, but this is what I came up with.
Is there benefit in waiting for what she comes up with so it's universal?
Well, no, because we're trying to we're trying to roll this, move this along, get the ball rolling. And so if everybody is on board here, well, I'll ship this over to Patty, and then Kelly Jo Smith is going to try to do the county commission with the same form. And so we can just start the ball rolling. But it'd be nice to have the notoriety of being the first council in Oregon to have this in place.
Do we want to bring this back up for discussion at a future meeting?
We can, or it seems like a pretty much a slam dunk, but we can.
I haven't read it. I don't want to, I haven't read.
Yeah.
I would like to look up what Patty's been saying about it too, just to add more context to it also.
Well, yeah, contact Patty.
Okay. Is there anything online with what she's pushing forward?
I don't know. I think she said the National League of Cities is working on kind of the same thing. Yeah, well, but I think it'd be nice to be the kind of the be the local, we'll be the role model, at least for the initial outlet, or initial rollout.
Ben, is that something that you could help investigate with the League of Oregon Cities, kind of where they're at, and if they have?
Dr.
Just send out what you find to all of
Trying to
us.
make sure it's on the same vein line as what they're doing.
But-
But also with legal, just make sure legally we're not stepping over anything. I would expect not, but always good to hear. All the feeling is good there, Joel.
Mhm.
Yeah, it looks
No, I
good.
appreciate I think it's absolutely the right direction
Yeah.
and
But then,
And
yeah,
appreciate
but it'd be
moving
nice to have
forward.
this done before the national conference. So if we do this, if you want to read this thoroughly and think about it, then maybe at the 15th meeting, we can decide to
And if Patty has something else, send it out to the council. We'll also have a copy of that as well.
see if there's unanimity.
I have a question really quick, related to one of Joel's comments. Does the school district do a newsletter?
Yes, the school district does newsletter. I think each principal from each school does a newsletter. Each Friday we get a different email and it has a link to each individual high school's newsletter. So
Yeah, great.
that might be able to find it on the school district website, I think. I would think so.
Counselor.
Was there any objection to it being in our newsletter? Or that
No,
was,
I don't have any objection. I was just curious if the school district does a newsletter, and because I would imagine their newsletter also goes out to more. But there's no reason, I don't think there's any reason for us not to participate.
I think we're building a relationship with the schools too, and promoting them as well.
Yeah, it's mutual benefit.
Okay. Counselor Holm?
Yeah, just want to acknowledge the work of the Public Works Department and the city getting the wind phone installation in. I appreciate when someone can bring an idea to council, we can provide some feedback. That feedback is integrated. I think the site selection was excellent. So I hope it serves both the residents of this community and broader Columbia County. So thanks for making it happen.
Great, thank you. Counselor Santiago?
Couple of things. First, while I pass this to the council members, NJ, I didn't bring my notes to the EDC. I know there was a couple of important things that Nancy from the port mentioned, and I was wondering if you had those or those notes and can share with the group.
She was online, but I don't think so now.
Yeah, no longer. I don't know how many of you have heard, but in the spring and summer, the airport and Scappoose will be closed for 90 days. There's some work being funded, both electrical and surface, that the FAA is funding 96% of the work on. It's millions of dollars we're talking about here, and it's necessary improvements. It's all maintenance, no new paving or electrical or anything like that. But it does require the airport to be closed, and then there are some workarounds, but any other workarounds that require either overtime or require the work to take place over a longer window than 90 days will mean that the port pays for that portion and then the FAA doesn't. And so either coming up with the money or coming up with ways to support all of the businesses on at the airport that rely on that for their livelihood.
Thank you, NJ. I thought that was important for us to say, but I just couldn't recall the details. I didn't bring my notes. Okay, so I passed a draft resolution and a amendment or an exhibit A. So before we talk, I want to say this. I wanted to say this during public comments, but so I've written this as a public comment. But so I want to speak clearly on on a topic that's affecting our residents, even if it's not showing up on the local news. Over the last few weeks, I've heard directly from families in our community who are scared. Parents who are telling their children are crying, afraid to go to school, or unable to concentrate in class. Residents are staying inside, avoiding stores, appointments, and everyday routines. Small businesses are seeing fewer customers because some families, especially Latino and immigrant families, do not feel safe leaving their homes. This is happening here in Scappoose across Columbia County, even if the incidents have not been publicly confirmed. To find answers, I spoke directly to two local leaders, Commissioner McGruber and State Representative Darcy Edwards, to ask what community resources exist here in Columbia County for families who are afraid or impacted. Unfortunately, they were not able to identify any local resources for our residents. This is exactly why I reached out to organizations including La Programa Hispano, PIRC, which stands for the Portland Immigrant Rights Coalition, and ECO. These organizations provide statewide resources here in Oregon. PIRC hotline is 888-622-1510, and their website is pircoregon.org. Follow them on social media outlets to be part of the rapid response program. ECHO's hotline is 888-274-7292. I share these numbers in public record because families in our community are scared. They are seeking help and they don't know where to turn. This lack of local support is a real gap, one that we city leaders cannot ignore. I reached out to Sheriff Pixley and Chief Llewellyn, and I wanted to thank them both for their transparency. They were clear. Oregon is a longstanding sanctuary state. Local agencies are prohibited from participating in civil immigration enforcement. In the last 3 years, Scappoose PD has never been contacted by ICE for assistance. Columbia County Sheriff's Office is not aware of any ICE operations here. And both agencies affirm that they cannot and will not participate in ICE activities unless it's a life-threatening officer safety situation. I appreciate that clarity, but that does not erase our community, how our community is feeling. Families are afraid not because of our local police, but because of what they are seeing statewide and nationally. Aggressive detentions, racial profiling, and a recent Supreme Court ruling that allows ICE agents to stop individuals based solely on suspicion. And our residents know very well who is being profiled. People that look like me, my family, and many others in our city. Whether someone is here with papers or without, no one deserves to be taken off their street with fear, force, and brutality. And no child deserves to sit in class wondering if their parents will be there when they get home. As local leaders, we set the tone for safety and unity in our city. We do not need an ORS statutes repeated back to us. We already understand the law. What we need is what our community is asking for, is local leadership, local clarity, and local commitment. So tonight, I'm asking my fellow council members to take 2 steps. Adopt a formal proclamation acknowledging that our community is being impacted by fear, regardless whether the ICE activity is occurring within our city or not. Fear itself has consequences on mental health, school attendance, local businesses, and public safety. And 2, develop a written local level policy affirming that Scappoose is committed to being a safe, inclusive community where residents can go to school, work, and go to the grocery store without the fear of being profiled or targeted. This is about protecting our residents and restoring trust. Our community, especially those who feel invisible and unheard, is asking for reinsurance. We want to know, do you care? Is my family safe here? Will our city stand for us? My answer is yes. Now I'm asking the council to join me in making a commitment clear, not only in words, but in policy. Thank you. And I also want to read something in Spanish to my community. So, my Spanish is kind of okay, but buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Janet Santiago, conseja de Ciudad de Scappoose, y también una mujer latina que ha vivido aquí y criado su familia por muchos años. Quiero hablarle directamente a mi comunidad latina. Los estoy escuchando. Sé que muchos de ustedes sienten miedo por estar pasando lo que está pasando en otras ciudades en Hillsborough o Woodburn y otras partes del estado. Y aunque no aparece que las noticias en Scappoose, Sé que esto, el medio está aquí, el medio es también aquí. He escuchado de familias que tienen temor de salir de su casa y llevar sus hijos a la escuela o ir al trabajo o simplemente ir a la tienda. Nuestros niños están ansiosos, nuestras familias, programas de muchos saben y muchos saben dónde huir para huir de ayuda. Quiero que sepan que algo es muy claro, no están solos. Como su conseja, estoy trabajando para hacer claridad, información y recursos. Y he contactado a organizaciones como el Programa Hispano PARCISO para buscar el apoyo para ustedes y seguir buscando más. Y más importante que quiero decirle hoy, es si necesitan información, apoyo y simplemente alguien que puede escuchar, por favor, contáctame. Estoy aquí para ustedes. A todo es posible para ayudarlos en Scappoose y sea un lugar de donde todas las personas pueden estar con sus familias y pueden vivir sin miedo. Gracias a Janet Santiago y me pueden contactar al 971-757-0763. Gracias.
Muy bien.
So I did review this, it's a draft resolution and also the administrative guidance. I changed it from guidance to policy guidance. We already spoke to the attorney. We reviewed some of the verbiage here. I did update it on page 1, and I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at it, Ben. And then, but we don't have to do this now. It is something that I do want to bring forward, give you guys time to review it, give your comments, your thoughts, and hope to address this. Ashley did suggest we can do it on a work session in the future and discuss further. Any questions?
Thank you for doing that.
I do have a question. Is this modeled off of anything that other cities in Oregon have done?
Other cities, I know, for example, the city of Hillsborough, this has come forward a lot because of their community. It's been affected. I'm not sure if you guys been noticing them there has, speaking of Ashley, and you can correct me if I'm wrong or fill in the gaps, Ben, but.
Don't get into legal advice, please.
Okay, well, so basically has there been something, this is not like this is just an affirmation I'm asking of, this is already implemented. Our policies are implemented. It's just the fact of when a community wants to be heard and they feel like they're being ignored no matter what, they're saying, well, yeah, the law says we're a sanctuary state. Yes, the law state. We get that. That's not the point. The point is just making a statement is we hear you. We're behind you. Kind of a little bit what you're trying to do, Joel, right? Is that you're affirming something that makes sense. And we're just saying, yes, we're behind you. We don't have any resources locally. These resources that I found are statewide. And so if we need, I think we should just be able to have these resources kind of, I want to be proactive instead of reactive, right? It's not, we don't see it in the news at Scappoose, there's big ice raids. I mean, there has been conversations or stories that there has been, but it's nothing reported. I didn't find anything reported, but the community has been telling me this. And I've spoken to people that actually have been affected, that are scared, and I've had people wanted to come today and speak, but they weren't able to. I'm having them, they're welcome to come. There's also people that not necessarily live here, but they work here. And so there's still fear. So this is more of not trying to come up with new policies or new anything. It's already there. It's just reaffirming what's already there and just putting just saying, we get it. We are here for you. Our police department is not going to, is still here to protect you. The city is still here to be a resource. And nothing that what is here is a liability to the city. That's what we're trying to talk to with Ashley. So I don't know if you want to add anything to the conversation, Ben.
Yeah, we did talk with Ashley this afternoon. We already had a conversation with her call about this topic in a broader sense, not specifically about this resolution. But I saw the opportunity, since I had that come over, to have Ashley take a look at it just to give feedback. In general, she had issues with the draft, or the Exhibit A. There are some broad things that could potentially cause liability, which is why she instructed Councilor Santiago to change it to, as opposed to setting new policy, to maybe use words like urge. I wasn't clear. I thought she meant without Exhibit A, but just putting that we urge certain things for that number 5.
I did say that.
But so there would definitely need to be some more legal review. There is a lot of issue federally compared to state statute that we have to walk a fine line with, and we are sworn to uphold the state, federal, and local laws. And some of those are slightly seemingly contradictory. And so we already get a lot of feedback from our council of what we can and can't do. And we're already doing a lot of that stuff. So really the question comes down to, for Jeanette's purpose, is the council wanting to reaffirm what we're already doing? But it'd be very legally risky to instruct or put any policy in place that's outside the bounds of state, federal, and local law in this particular circumstance.
That's not what I'm asking.
Right.
You're right.
So that would be really the ultimate question for the council: is this something you want to, put legal time and staff time to wordsmith and make sure it's hitting everything, or not? Like, that's.
Can I ask a question really quickly? As far as the Exhibit A goes, so the draft resolution, I don't necessarily have an issue with. I get the community support and what Jeanette is the effort here. I understand that. But as far as the Exhibit A goes, is there anything in here that we don't already practice or that already isn't part of policy, city policy?
There are things that are a little more, Ashley pointed out, or overly broad, and that could peg us. I mean, yes, we're doing the majority of those things already in our policy. There are some areas that she saw some legal liability risk or concerns in there. Her recommendation was not to have Exhibit A, but just to have the resolution by itself and take out number 5. But then saying that if you wanted to restate number 5 as saying we encourage or urge the city to follow, I don't remember the wording, some type of civility, something.
So I did change that number.
Yeah, I saw that, but
Yeah.
they still had the Exhibit A. So that would have to be still reviewed by legal for Exhibit A.
And I did change to number 3. So just by what she was saying, I did change it. So
But I guess the question is, can the same thing be accomplished without having Exhibit A included? If the goal is making a statement to give people reassurance that the city stands behind them, is the resolution sufficient to do that?
I guess it's just the way it's pretty much like you're giving a letter, but this one, it would like seal it into an envelope and deliver it. That's how I see it. I mean, that's why I did a resolution instead of a proclamation. I think a resolution has more weight and attached with and it's not even a policy. I changed it to guidance. That's something that just because it's, we already have a policy in place. So it's just a guidance of community safety and inclusion policy.
This is basically all in the policy handbook or in our policy guidelines?
It's already, that's part of state that we're doing it. The only thing is like adding, I added there the resources that I found. Of course, it's just 2, but as I get more, then I'll be sharing that with the city. If somebody calls in, if somebody just to have that resource available to our community.
We update that and review that throughout the year. and go over those throughout the year at different times. We looked at our policy, our administrative.
All right, we have a system, and Chief, you can correct me if I'm wrong. LexiPool is a system we use that keeps our a lot of our general state laws in line for our own operations. And we have local things that I wouldn't say this falls under a local different. We already kind of have that LexiPool updating those things with what state law would have. Then our attorney is updating us anything that the federal government, as they change their administrative functions and how they're interpreting rules. So that's what the original point of the call was, is she had some new ways that cities are getting in trouble by the federal government looking at it as though they're interfering with their immigration enforcement, which is putting cities in liability circumstances. So the safest thing was just to follow state, federal, and local laws. Putting any proclamation or anything there adds a little level, and then depending what's on there could add further levels, and we have to be very careful with some of those things. So I would definitely want legal here if we were going to review those. I mean, I'd have her review it first off, but then to make sure you guys can ask any additional questions, because it is a very highly litigated and a lot of liability in this area when cities try to get involved in this area.
The other question that I have too, that I'd want to hear from Ashley about, is we take an oath as counselors to uphold the federal constitution as well.
Right.
So I would want to understand if there's any ramifications from that. I was going to ask why a proclamation wouldn't be appropriate, because I feel like it's more supportive of what Jeanette's trying to do without crossing that line into jeopardizing the city's potential grants and other financial assistance. We're a small city, so, you know, unlike Portland and Hillsborough, where they have other revenue streams to draw on from loss of grant funds that we could no longer qualify for because we pissed the federal government off, we don't have that.
Right.
So I'm trying to strike the balance here in between being supportive and knowing that the state of Oregon is already a sanctuary state. We don't participate in immigration enforcement. It seems like a lot of risk and no reward.
Right. Even the proclamation or resolution as is without Exhibit A, Ashley did reaffirm that there is risk of it interfering with grants and other opportunities when it comes to federal involvement, since this is specifically more against how they're doing things.
Yeah.
So yes, there is a risk. Like I say, anytime we do something in this area, there is some liability or risk that we're adding to there. And then depending on where you go with it, there's added risk and liability.
My question is, what specific federal grant that we could, either we've gone after or will go in the future, that it will affect? I mean,
Well, we did go after a federal grant just for a park this last year for $600,000.
but how is that going to, if we do something like this, how is that going to affect it?
Can
I won't speak on behalf of the federal government.
Because I don't want to go down the rabbit hole too much tonight, because it is 9:51. I'm wondering if we can ask Ashley and Jeanette, is there a way that we can accomplish the support that you want to accomplish, and I think that probably all council wants to accomplish, without having to get into the risk of not qualifying for federal grants? Is there another way of doing this, whether it be a proclamation or different wording or whatever, that we can accomplish both?
It's funny that there's no policy. I'm not implementing a new policy. This is already in the state policy, in the ordinances. So what all of this is, I'm bringing it up to light. That's all I'm doing.
Which I think just by speaking about this and us talking about this, you've done quite a bit. I mean,
Thank you.
it should.
It's just that I would hope that every resident's important to all of us. And even though I represent a small community in this, in this area, in this county, but I think we're all important. So if any of us felt that they were either targeted and there was something that will help you feel better and your family and your friends and your community, I would be for it. So I would hope you guys just think about that.
So I'm
And
not
take it-
saying, just to be clear, I'm not saying by any means that that's the position I'm taking. I totally get it. I'm just trying to find a balance here, and we have a responsibility to represent the entire city. So I'm trying to
Correct.
find the way that we can do both. I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah,
with
I'm
you
just
at all.
saying, our community is part of the city, but we're being targeted. So that's all I'm saying is this stuff is, this is already in our policies, in ordinance, in state. But I'm not bringing anything forward that is not, again, clarifying
But if
it.
it's already there, then it's
I'm
already
clear, I'm
there.
very there, and we're just saying, hey, it's already there, and we're supportive of it. Just like we're doing a pledge here.
Well, I'm just
to the-
concerned about that, making sure legal talked about it, making sure that we're, again, I'm always hesitant to be the first to do something because you are at the top of the list versus other cities that they're having same issues. LOC is behind this, working on something very similar, and I want to look into that more. And the same on this is I want to look a little more, do my due diligence, making sure.
Yeah,
that
we
we're-
can talk about it. This is just it's a draft. I brought it so you guys can look at it and see it and read it. And then we had a discussion with Ashley to bring her in on that work session. So, but yes, that's what I'm proposing.
But, you know, basically, as Ken already alluded to, we're just reaffirming what's in the statutes of Oregon, what's the legal Oregon cities is promoting, what the city has in its own regulation and rules and procedures. We're just reaffirming that. I think that's what Jeanette's trying to get at.
Yeah, and that's what our community wants. They
And then
just want to
we
make
just
sure.
Cut and paste from our handbook, cut and paste, or put those together and read those back.
But the key is that the community needs the reassurance, because let's face it, they are being targeted.
Mhm.
And so they need that reassurance.
Yeah.
And even though it's there,
Well, I think we can reassure, we can do that. What we don't want to do is create new policy for the city that's specific to the city.
No,
that-
she's
but
not
the
It's
city-
talking-
not, there's not new policy. I'm just reassuring.
Yeah,
So you're-
operationally, what would happen is if we did nothing, we just follow our federal, state, and local law like we're already doing that, which is protecting our residents and intervening where legally we can, and we're taking care of everybody. Doesn't matter about their background, who they are. We help everybody. You take it to the next level and do just the front side, which is a resolution or a proclamation. Ashley mentioned it's legally defensible as it is without number 5. However, there's the risk on the federal side of if we go after any grants that it alone, just having a proclamation or resolution, it's not legal. It's not is it illegal because it's legally defensible, but there is that risk just by how federal or state governments operate if it's opposing their initiatives, so that we could lose that line of opportunity while there's a certain whoever in the governor's mansion or the White House when you take a political stance. If you take that next level and add Exhibit A, you're adding more staff time, more legal time to actually go in and make sure that it is reflective of everything that we're already doing and not overly broad and not putting us in a place that is putting our staff or anybody else at risk or looking like we're intervening or interfering with things that we shouldn't be doing, depending on how it's written, compared to if you just, reference a specific code language. I mean, that there's a difference when you're referencing here's what's actually in the code compared to here's a summary of what we're saying. Now we have to actually look at the wording of that, and it's going to take legal review and wordsmithing, time, money. And that's really all the question is, where is that? What level is the council interested in, if at all? And then with staff time and legal time involved and workshops and resolutions involved. I mean, there's the whole gamut we can go. It depends on that direction of the council.
So I'm going to venture to guess there's maybe 10 people who look at our council packets outside of this room on a monthly basis. We probably have a lot more followers on social media. I mean, could we accomplish the same thing, kind of making a statement of the city's commitment to protecting citizens and upholding the laws of the state and not targeting people? I mean, could that statement be made in English and Spanish and put out on social media, which would have a much broader reach, in my opinion, potentially accomplish what I think you want, which I am supportive of, but completely eliminate the risk and cost associated with doing something like this and the unknown. It could unlock potentially disharmony in the community, right? Like, we don't need something to be potentially divisive. I think, what we want to do is continue to bring the community together to support everybody. So can we accomplish the same thing, perhaps using a different platform?
Well, then maybe, respect to time, maybe we can have a work session and discuss, and maybe between now and then we can all bring a little, some of our feelings or thoughts to do that. We all understand what we're trying to achieve here. What are your recommendations of how we can do it to the best of our abilities?
And maybe even run it past the League of Oregon Cities Council.
Yeah, because, none of this is what I'm not a professional in this. This is new to me, and I want to be careful, and I'm representing 8,200 people or so. I want to make sure we do the right thing.
And this is, we're in uncharted territories here, so it's hard to say, because I appreciate you guys listening, and I would appreciate your support and great ideas. And
Jeanette, I want you to know that I am supportive of you and the community too. It's just trying to keep in mind that we represent 8,200 people and not, causing any problems for, the city's potential funding in any way. And it's what we don't know that's scary. And so we're trying to strike the balance of.
I think we do this in a lot of things. We try not to open up a can of worms because you can't put them back in. And so we just want to be careful. Make sure we do everything best, right way.
Right. And it is affecting, it does affect the economy. It's affecting school, kids in school. It does. It's a ripple effect. And even though you don't feel it, that it's in Scappoose, it is.
I think you can at least talk to them, at least from what you heard tonight. We're very supportive of the idea of what you're trying to achieve. Just want to make sure we.
Yeah, the takeaway is we'll work with you to try to find the way
Thank
to
you.
do this. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Thanks for bringing it forward.
Good. And if you have any questions, I'd send them to Ben. We can't communicate together, but.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jeanette. I respect the time. Meeting adjourned.
It's okay.